Hey everyone, old school Pokemon here. I'm back again with PokeFlipz podcast, episode number 40, the big 4-0. Joined by my usual co-host, Catch 'em all Collectibles, Dan. And tonight we have a very special guest joining us, DaGreenShiz Collectibles, Josh. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing
pretty dang
excellent.
good.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Excited for another episode.
Oh yeah, no, it's pretty awesome. Appreciate you guys having me on.
So yeah,
thanks
Josh.
thanks for coming on.
Yeah, we really appreciate you coming on. We've got some nice questions that people left for us, targeted towards you. So it's nice to get a different perspective in here every other episode. If you want it for everybody, just do a quick intro. I think a lot of people will probably know who you are. We've both been on your channel, and you're a common face around YouTube.
Yep, sounds good. I'll take it right now. Hey, my name's Josh. I just got delivery of Rice Krispie treats.
Nice.
Good timing. Good timing. Name's Josh. Got a YouTube channel, DaGreenShiz Collectibles. Been doing it for only about 2 years. Not even 2 years making YouTube content, but basically big collector of Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, some World of Warcraft cards, video games, tons of just stuff that's nostalgic for me. The YouTube journey for me started basically just from wanting to capture my collection, which started luckily at the perfect time, right at the start of COVID, and pretty much have encapsulated my entire collection journey in the last year and a half, and upload quite frequently, and usually shorter videos, 10 minutes, 15 minutes long, just like kind of going through different stuff. Sell stuff on eBay sometimes, time to time. Probably super outdated, but the pricing, like a lot of people, just kind of just post it, let it ride. But big time collector, love Zapdos, love Diglett. Great Pokemon.
We do we'll flip over to the sitting cutie cam. We do have Zapdos representing he's right here, but he's probably fairly hard to see in the stream. So I just zoomed away, and that's why he looks so pixelated. But we do have the sitting cutie to represent our guest for this episode. Diglett was sold out, unfortunately, but I was able to get Zapdos.
Hot commodity. You got to go back to that camera real quick. It looks like Zapdos is sitting on Charmander's face. It's pretty awesome. Keep it. Don't ever change it. How it should be.
I like it. I like it.
So yeah, as always with these, if you want to leave any questions for Nick and I for the next episode, just leave them in the comments. We will be live though. Obviously this one, maybe it's news to you 3 minutes in, but we're not actually live. We've had a good streak of live ones going. This is pre-recorded though. If you've been watching for 3 minutes, asking questions or looking for the live chat, it's not there. So yeah, leave your questions for next episode if you can't make it, but if you can make it live, be there, ask questions live, and we'll do the normal thing that way.
Oh.
But yeah, with that, I think we're ready to hop right into the questions.
Yeah, real quick, before you do jump into the questions, I do want to just say thank you guys again for everything you guys do for the hobby, and appreciate you guys taking the time, all the time you do on YouTube, and just all the things you're doing, sharing with the community, because I learned a shit ton from both of you guys. Had both of you guys on pretty early when I was doing like the interview style podcast, still am, but it's been a while. But just appreciate all the things you guys are doing for the community, and keep it going, guys, because good shit.
Thanks.
Thanks for the kind words. Yeah, we appreciate you having had us on your channel and then coming on here. It's been long awaited. We've had you in the works, but we only get through one guest a month, so it's slow going. There's a lot of people out there. But yeah, the first question, really quick one. I'll address this one, and then Nick can take off with the second. Timestamps. We've been slacking. This is a pre-recorded one, so when it comes to you, check check the description. All the timestamps will be there. We will try to do better about going back through lives and adding in, maybe not fully, because some of the questions are a bit more rapid fire. and there's just more in general. But yeah, we'll do our best to go through later that night or at least the next day and get some timestamps added. And then Nick, if you want to go with the next question. Oh, I'll take the next question. This one's for me directly.
Send it.
So Tachibana asks, out of curiosity, Dan, why did you buy so many of the holiday calendars? I forget how many I bought, but I probably said how many I bought in the last stream. I think it was 4 or 6. It wasn't like an obscene amount. I'm gonna have one at my house for my kids. When I was younger, every year we had like an advent calendar. It was a big Santa Claus body, and there were 25 or 24 things. So every day of December, we'd get a different little treat or whatever. Sometimes it was a piece of candy, sometimes it was a quarter. This has like a promo or a pack or whatever. So every day, I'll probably have one for each of my kids, and then I'll give one to my sister for like my niece and nephew. They'll probably have to share one. My kids will each get their own. And then I don't know what I'll do with the others. Maybe I'll give them as gifts or
The dog.
future Christmases down the line. Yeah, the dog, the cat, dog and 2 cats. So I mean, they're all spoken for, I guess, when you add them all in. But yeah, the next real question made for everybody, hopefully.
Oh boy.
Oh, hold on. So updated thoughts on PSA versus CGC grading. I noticed old school Pokemon had gotten over 1K CGC grades. Thought process when deciding PSA versus CGC. So for me personally, back when PSA was basically shut down, had that massive backlog, I sent a whole bunch of stuff off to CGC. WotC Holos, commons, uncommons, modern stuff, a little bit of everything. This was before they loosened up on their grading scale, which I am a firm believer happened. For the better though. But with that submission, it was majority 8.5s, couple 9s, very few 9.5s, no 10s. And it was discouraging, to say the least. So I kind of stopped sending to CGC for a while. And then once CGC loosened up their grading scale, I started to send to CGC again. And I've continued to send a little bit to CGC every now and then. Right now, my plan moving forward with CGC and PSA. PSA is going to be like higher end cards. So first edition WotC Holos. Some like the WotC reverse holos, EX reverse holos, stuff like that. All of that stuff I'm still setting aside for PSA. CGC is going to be modern cards. So like I just sent all of the, or a couple 50-ish of my Lost Origin hits into CGC. I actually just got the grades back today, which was absolutely awesome. I think that submission was registered with CGC September 14th and then shipped back to me today, which is September 20th. So less than a week for them to register it, grade everything, encapsulate everything, and send it back to me, which is really, really cool. That was just the bulk tier right there. But that's going to be my process moving forward with PSA and CGC. PSA for the higher end stuff, CGC for the lower end stuff, just to get that quick turnaround time to kind of have more cards available for my eBay inventory. CGC is a little bit tricky just because pricing with a lot of the CGC cards is so much lower than the PSA graded counterparts. And until those numbers get closer together, it's just not worthwhile to submit those higher end cards into CGC, unless of course you're hoping for the perfect 10 with CGC. Then it becomes worthwhile. But for the typical 9.5 that you're going to get with WotC cards, it's got to be PSA just for the price discrepancy there. What's your thoughts on that, Josh?
I submit everything to BGS now. Definitely interesting. So the PSA CGC is always, I'm constantly submitting to both. Similar to Nick, I like vintage high end going to PSA if it's going to achieve a PSA 10. If I'm not looking at a PSA 10, it'll likely go to CGC. quicker, better looking. Similar for high end for like lower grades that also will go to CGC because they're a lot more lenient on dents, surface, stuff like that. PSA is kind of reserved for some of my personal collection stuff, my first edition base, some of the higher end Yu-Gi-Oh stuff I'm chasing. Not a big fan of the way they abbreviate things. I saw they just abbreviated PokeRev's signature as Poker V on the slab, so that was pretty cool. They didn't want to put the 2 extra additional letters or additional letters, kind of weird. But yeah, I think the PSA does achieve higher value. But when you're like some things I've done, like when I cross a PSA 6 Charizard to a CGC 7.5, the value you're gonna gain value just because the number of grades you were able to climb. So there's different plays to be made at both companies. Each got their different perks. So I'm all over the place. Depends on which card, which condition.
Yeah, it's an optimization situation, and in a perfect world where both companies were returning cards quickly, and I think we will get to there in a future time, it would just be as simple as who's going to give me the bigger number that sells for a bigger number on the open market. But now it's more complex because you have, well, CGC is going to get it back quickly, but it's going to be cheaper. But how many times can I cycle given cards through CGC in the same amount of time it would take me to get one submission back from PSA? So generally speaking, I'm doing similar to you guys. Whoever's going to give me the bigger number, it's going there generally. But for certain things, like there are definitely plays where if you have a ton of them, or if you can cycle, say you have a raw mint card that's not going to hit that 10, it's either going to be a 9 or 9.5 though. Even if it had a chance to be a 10 at PSA, if you can get like a good premium over what you paid raw and just make your $100 profit and then flip it into another one, make your $100 profit. If you can iterate that 5 or 6 times before you get one PSA order back, like there's a play there. I think a lot of people write off CGC completely. And yeah, I've graded well over 10,000 cards with PSA, but I've also graded over 5,000 cards with CGC. And I'm settling back into where I'm trying to send to each a little bit monthly. PSA, I think we'll have a question further on down about the $22 being opened, but at 18 I sent some, 22 I'm not sending any. But yeah, someday I'll get back to sending like monthly or at least quarterly to PSA, just to get that steady flow coming back. But shout out Retrospecs. One little catchy phrase that he came up with, or first time I heard someone say, I think it was him that came up with it: if it's got a bent, it's getting sent to CGC. So yeah, as far as anyone unfamiliar with the general rules of thumb, PSA is much harsher on surface issues. Josh might be demonstrating that in an upcoming video with his Zapdos that he just cracked, but we'll have to wait and see. Subscribe, link below in the description. We'll have Josh link down there. But yeah, what would be an auto 6 at PSA has a chance of being a CGC 8 to 9 even at times, if it's very, very minor. So a lot of intricacies to it, but if it's got a bent, it's getting sent to CGC. It is like a quick, catchy little rule to go by.
I like it.
Good rule. Good rule.
Next question. Okay. What is more painful? Getting hit by Nick while riding a scooter at max speed, or getting hit by a rogue shopping cart that Nick left in the parking lot on a windy day? I'll leave this to you two to duke it out. And
right,
Josh, yeah, you can go first.
and then I'll tell the truth afterwards.
Let me lay the land for you real quick here. This 11 p.m. Long Beach, California, right outside of the hotel on the corner of Monroe and 5th. Made those up. I don't know if that's right, but sounds good.
I was supposed to be impressed there.
Yeah, no. But right there, pretty much. And this dude, like, there's 7 of us. Nick is the first one to turn his scooter on. He's like, this is pretty lame. Gets on it. The dude's going 40 miles an hour. Zip, 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 back and forth. Just back and forth. he's like doing suicides on a scooter. And he's like a 12-year-old born again. He's having the time of his life. So Nick then has to come over and turn everybody else's scooter on because nobody's prepared, and we end up having to pay him out. But anyways, I finally get on mine, and I don't even know how to. I'm squeezing my bell as the throttle, thinking that's the throttle because it's like a 4-wheeler throttle. It looked like. So I'm sitting there. I'm going like 5 miles an hour down this street, down Monroe, right? And Nick and I don't increase over 5 miles an hour. The dude comes up and just smokes me, going 40 miles an hour. And he thinks I might have been stopped. I might not have been. What doesn't matter. I was going like 5. Didn't have it. I had my hazards on for all intents and purposes. I'm a giant mass of a person. I don't know how you could see me, but he comes up, just smokes my ass. And I just basically truck stick him, and he's down on the ground. It hurt like a son of a bitch. But it probably hurt him a little bit more. He fell for like 30 minutes, and he luckily he was a couple brews deep, and he was feeling good. So he popped up like a spring chicken. But I would definitely rather take a shopping cart again instead of the silver bullet that is old school Pokemon.
Oh,
The
man.
silver bullet. So the correct version of that story, I'm driving down the sidewalk, minding my own business at a perfectly safe speed, completely sober, and Josh comes barreling out of nowhere.
Well,
I can quickly swerve out of the way to avoid him, but it was just an inevitable collision that I just could not avoid.
And now that you've heard both stories, I was able to chase down some security footage from a business across the street. Let's roll the tape. Wouldn't that have been impressive if I had the tape to roll so that we could see what really happened?
I googled the business, and no, that's going to happen.
Oh man, that would be glorious.
Yeah, you didn't answer the question though, Nick.
Oh, well, I wouldn't mind either of them because I'm not getting hurt in either of these scenarios right here.
You know, like self-inflicted pain.
Nick is the aggressor in either of these scenarios, so yeah, that's what it is.
Cop out.
I would probably have to go with the shopping cart though, because those scooters are pretty heavy. They've got some weight to them for sure.
Especially when they're going 40 fucking miles an hour.
Yeah, a lot less mass behind an empty shopping cart, so you'll not be dealing with quite as much momentum there.
Great question.
YFN did come back with a serious question for you, Nick.
I actually like this question.
Me
so,
too.
Serious question for the podcast. One person debate that the Pokemon market will never reach the same heights it did in the past 2 years. One person debate that Pokemon will continue to grow year after year. And one person decides who won the debate. So, since I'm reading the question, I can decide which side of the debate I'm on. And I'm definitely gonna go with the 20. We saw some of the pricing, the majority of the pricing that we saw in 2020, early 2021, was the peak that we will ever see again. We will never see those types of pricing on the majority of cards again. And the reasoning behind that is because 2020 was literally the perfect storm of events that hopefully won't be able to happen again. I cannot talk tonight. Between COVID happening, the PSA backlog, PSA absolutely getting flooded with cards, not being able to keep up with submissions, and then the whole Logan Paul entering the Pokemon scene. We could not have planned those events any better for the dramatic increase in pricing that we saw in 2020. Everyone was sitting at home with nothing to do, so they got back into Pokemon. They're looking at eBay. The cards that we had, so like the graded cards that we had were really the only graded cards that were available on the market. Obviously, some of those cards were tucked away in personal collections that weren't available for sale, but PSA really wasn't getting any submissions back in that like August to November time period. I knew of very few people who were getting any type of submissions back. So what we had on the market was what was there on the market. And then Logan Paul comes on the scene and brings Pokemon to a whole new group of people who grew up with Pokemon in the past, but might not have known that it was still around, not known that it had still had value. So we not only have the group of collectors who were in Pokemon pre-COVID, we also have a whole flood of people come into the market who are just getting into the market, who are seeing these prices that we have during COVID and thinking that, okay, this is normal. These cards are selling for these prices. That must be what these cards have been going for previously. So combine all of those, and we had, like I said, literally the perfect storm of events that happened. People had severe FOMO, thinking that Pokemon was going to the moon, never coming back. And that just caused pricing to keep going up and up and up and up until finally people came to their senses and the bubble popped. So that's what I would say. Let's hear your Mr. Positive side of the argument.
Can I take a whack at it?
Pokemon
Yeah, if
to
you
the
want to
moon.
go for it.
All right. Completely agree with a couple things. I guess in general, the average cost of a Pokemon card, if you lumped all the Pokemon cards into a pile and said the average cost of Pokemon cards did peak in 2020. But ever since then, we did see a higher sale of the card, like the Illustrator sold for 5 million crap, whatever that was, if you want to consider that. But basically, I think some of those lower population cards, as the person mentioned, YFN, that year over year we could see growth. It'll be in those cards that are lower population. Like we just saw the Mickey Mantle just sell for $12 million on an SGC 9.5. It's never achieved that. 3 PSA 10s are in existence. Those haven't sold. When those sell, they'll be higher than that. So we're going to experience things like that, where things with lower population, I think, will continue to grow over and over as time goes on, as people make more money, just like we saw with comic books, high-end sports cards, stuff with limited populations. I feel like those have a pretty good chance, which is why I kind of am in the vintage game. I think the modern is a great play for some shorter flips. Maybe not as much growth there year after year. It'll be way slower because of the populations and the just like the entry point is there's so many cards out there. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But I definitely think the prices will go up, and we will see a time that where like first edition base is definitely in 2020 type price range for at least the PSA 9s and 10s.
So I have to pick the winner then. I'm going to give it to Josh.
What? Oh my goodness! I want to recount.
Well, it's a tough thing, and I'll give it to Josh, and then I'll say why. I think it's a tough thing because the way that it's phrased, it's like an absolute. I think both of you touched on a little bit that certain things might separate. I just think Josh did a little more clearly. The whole K-shaped thing. I agree, probably 80-90% of individual cards hit all-time highs. I think Jungle First Edition Pikachu will never be $1,000 again. Main reason being that the only grading that was open during the spike was like $300 a card. I think there will never be a time in the future again where the cheapest grading is higher than 50. So I think PSA will be wise enough now to do the third grade math, and the day that they start getting too many submissions at 22 or at 18 or at 15 or at 12 or at 10 or 7, whatever they go to, the day that they start getting in more than they can grade, the day that the backlog starts growing over like a reasonable 3 to 6 months, whatever they want their longest turnaround time to be, the day that that happens, they'll close off the lower tiers. And they'll go from the lowest cost at 10 or 12 to 25 or 30. And Had that been the case, had grading been open at 50 even, I would have sent 50 Jungle Pikachus earlier. Basically what I'm saying is the price never would have gotten to 1,000 had grading been open anywhere below 300. Had it been open, I did send some at like, I think I sent some at 100 when 100 first reopened, or at some crazy point. I paid either 50 or 100 to get them graded, which was just obscene, and I made money doing it. But yeah, I think the fact that PSA's capacity is so much higher, and the fact that they will be more proactive in closing out the very lowest tiers and not building a huge backlog, I think it'll just be more responsive. People will be able to jump on inefficiencies or absurdities like that and close them up or keep them from bubbling up too high immediately. And then longer term, yeah, like if Pokemon makes it to 50 years, and I think they will, if and when Pokemon makes it to 50 years, I think the early trophies, the early scarce low print run promos, I think a lot of the historic WotC first edition, primarily in PSA 9 and PSA 10 only, because they did print massive amounts of all those cards. But I truly think that those can do big things. I mean, Josh mentioned the sports market as well. $12 million Mickey Mantle and an SGC 9.5. What's the 10 gonna hit? What's a 10 Gretzky gonna hit? It's all crazy. And then another point too, like this past year was the highest printing 9.1 billion cards in a year. As far as like ultra modern print run goes, next year might surpass it. I have no idea where it's gonna land, but it's crazy to think how much they're printing right now. And then look at Evolving Skies. Look at the Moonbryon. Look at the sheer demand out there. In spite of pop reports, in spite of reprints, it's unbelievable what some of these cards are capable of doing. What some of these boxes are capable of doing. So I'm bearish on 95% of cards encapsulated in plastic, but those 5% can truly separate and do big things in the future, I think. So and that's to say Josh won the debate, I think, but Nick wasn't really wrong anywhere. It's just a very diverse market.
That's a safe answer.
Yeah, I mean it's there's no one right answer there. It's not like you guys were even arguing complete opposite things. There was a fair bit of overlap in your arguments, I think.
Up to the sitting cutie cam real quick. We'll ask them.
Sitting cutie cam, we got 2 for Josh and 1 for Nick. Ninetales did opt to go for Nick, but Charmander and Zapdos swung it to DaGreenShiz.
Bangarang.
Let us know in the comments who you think won the argument. The person with the superior argument, aka me.
Just because it was long doesn't mean it was superior.
Oh man. Echo based collectibles. Question for next week. Dan, you often say you take modern boxes and ship them to Troll and Toad for smaller margin sales. Can you go over exactly how this process works and how you end up plus EV when taking shipping into account? Thanks. Perfect timing for this question. Had you asked this question a month ago, I would have felt like I was spilling too many secrets, but Troll and Toad EVO is effectively closed down for new merchants. So I'll give you the details. I have a distributor who actually shares a 1 million square foot building. Nick and I have definitely talked about it before on the podcast, but they share a 1 million square foot building with Troll and Toad. So I literally don't even ship some amount of stuff to me. I buy it, they wheel it over on a pallet to Troll and Toad EVO, and then Troll and Toad does all the fulfillment, does everything on their end. And I just set the pricing and take the money when it's sold. Some of these items are like super, super razor thin. Right now, it's actually going to get thinner too. It's going to get slightly more difficult as far as the margins go. But the current fee is about 15%, I think, on sealed boxes. I think it's any item $25 plus or something. But so on a $100 box, you'd pay $15. Shipping is paid by the buyer. So if I price my box at 100, I get 85. Well, a lot of boxes fresh out of the gate, I pay 86.50. Like Lost Origin right now is a good example. I pay 86.50. I think they're selling on Troll and Toad Evo. I can actually just pull it up. I think they're selling on there right now for like 105. Basically break even. Maybe I'm making a few dollars.
I didn't realize the
But-
fees were so high. I thought it was 10%, but 15%, that definitely cuts into your margin.
Maybe it actually is. Let me see. Okay, so
I don't know. You could be right.
From 70 to 500, it actually is 10%. So I'm paying 10% on boxes, which is less than I would pay on eBay. And
Yeah.
and they're doing the work, which is crazy. So I can actually pull up. I'll just give the exact numbers for Lost Origin right now. But Nick, like, are you selling Lost Origin actively on eBay? What's the eBay situation today with Lost Origin?
I do my I would do it on TCG Player just because it's a lot easier now. I actually haven't been selling any Lost Origin. I opened a good bit. I opened 30 boxes. I have another 24 boxes, and I'm just holding those for right now to see what happens. But right now TCG Player is at 105. So if I sold it on TCG Player, it would be, what's that, $90 after the TCG Player fee. They charge about 10%. And then with TCG Player, I'd have to pay shipping, so that's another $8.50. So you're looking at, what is that, $82.50?
Yeah, and see, I'm paying $86.50, I believe, and I have it priced. I'm the lowest on Troll and Toad right now, $104.97. I honestly don't know. I've never bought a booster box on Troll and Toad. It wouldn't really make much sense because I get them wholesale. But I believe a buyer would pay $104.97 plus sales tax if applicable, plus shipping, unless maybe there's a free shipping range over a certain amount. But I net from $104.97, I net $93.97. So I'm paying an $11 fee approximately. And I'm netting about $7.50 on a box. I have no fees other than that, no shipping. It's a pretty crazy setup. So I'm making $7 on a box. It's not crazy, but it's better than Battle Styles. It's better than Chilling Reign, Fusion Strike. It's not nearly as good as Evolving Skies. There's still like Evolving Skies situations happening from time to time. Brilliant Stars is still in good shape. So yeah, I don't take possession of them at all when I buy from that distributor. It's literally just from there to my Evo, and then it just slow sells from there. You don't need to make a big margin when you're not actively putting the labor into it and you're not warehousing the product yourself. So it's a great thing from Troll and Toad's perspective too, because it's like they get whatever their allocation is. They make the margin on what the product that they buy. They make the margin on a Fusion Strike, on a Chilling Reign. They end up with dead money like I do. But the thing is with mine, like when they sell my boxes, they make the guaranteed 10% cut, and they make storage fees while it's sitting there. And they make like there's the monthly access fee to have an Evo account. Then there's the storage fees, and so some people might immediately think like, well, why would they do that for you? Why wouldn't they just buy more boxes themselves and sell their own boxes and make all the money? Well, historically speaking, we're still in crazy times as far as what these boxes are able to sell for and the volume they're able to sell. It's a pretty attractive scenario for them to be able to just make a 10% margin and not be risking their own capital. I mean, between all the Evo merchants, they must have 8 figures of, I would have to imagine it's 8 figures worth of inventory that is not their dead money, not their tied up money, and they're able to just make that 50% all the way down to 5% or whatever their fee structure is, depending on what the item costs.
You know what? I was also thinking the other day, kind of not really related to this question, but so our allocation for what's that new set? Silver
Tempest.
Our allocation from the distributor connected to Troll and Toad, both of us received more product than previously. I wonder if that's because that distributor lost a bunch of accounts, or maybe they thought they were going to lose a bunch of accounts because of a lot of their accounts were just connected to Evo. And once those sellers got kicked from Evo, maybe they're not going to order modern product because it's not worthwhile to do so anymore. I had thought about that the other day, and I wonder if that might be a reason why we got more for that new set.
I wouldn't think so. I don't think what I'm doing is too attractive to most people. I am tying up a lot of capital, and it's making very low margin. Like if you're if you're fairly cash strapped, if you're not too liquid, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like if I just search by booster box, I have anywhere from 10 to 15 cases of most ultra modern sets. That's a lot of capital tied up. Not every business is in a position to do that. Not every business wants to operate in that way. So I think I'm one of a very select group of people even looking at that play. Like most people are going to scoff and say, why do I spend $86.50 on a box to make $7 when I can spend $86.50 on grading fees and make $500? That I think that's going to be like a common reaction and a common sentiment.
Yeah, but then when you think about, like, just thinking about modern product, you're able to sell modern product for a profit. I can't sell that same booster box for a profit. I'd lose money between fees, shipping. The only way I can sell that box and actually make a little bit of money is if it's through my own website, because that eliminates the 10-12% fees. But with shipping and the fees, there's no way you can make money at the price points that modern boxes are at right now.
Yeah, that's, I mean, Troll and Toad, obviously they have their own platforms, so they're not paying like eBay a fee or whatever. They're paying 2%, 3%, whatever fee it costs them to process a credit card, essentially. And then they're profiting like the 7%, almost like a buy it now consignment, almost like a consignment. I mean, it's exactly like it's consignment service. They're just doing it with everything, with sealed, with singles, with, it's like fulfillment by Amazon, just way lower fees. And I'd love to go there someday and see their whole process, see their whole setup, because in the past couple of weeks during this whole Evo change, I'm actually potentially buying out some people's Evo inventories. Some people's Evo spreadsheets are fascinating to look at. I'm a spreadsheet guy. I love spreadsheets. And I've had people like, hey, do you want to make an offer on this? Crazy to see what some people have there. Both like the volume, the quantity that you'd never believe, and then just like the diversity. Like I'm talking 6,000 row spreadsheets. I mean, mine's up there. Mine's in the 5,000 to 6,000 vicinity. But to see how many people are in that same ballpark, and ooh, it's wild.
No comment.
But yeah, I sorry, I was gonna ask you if you had anything to add. I think Evo is never anything you've really touched, right? Or considered?
Nope. Purchased off Troll and Toad before. Recently, actually. The modern Pokemon cards.
Nice. I actually need to go spend a lot of money with them at some point just to fill out. I have so many binder gaps I need to fill out at some point.
Yep. Good for that, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So, Mr. PokeDragon, having such big eBay accounts, do you ever get freebies from them, i.e. eBay packaging? So I don't get any freebies, any reduced fees or anything like that. It's the same as anyone else selling on eBay. The one thing you do get is if you have an eBay store, which I believe it starts off at the basic store, you get a quarterly coupon to the eBay shipping supply store where you can buy boxes, bubble mailers, the poly mailers, packaging tape, stickers, all types of packaging. And it just depends upon what eBay store level you have. So currently have a premium eBay store, and every quarter I get a $50 coupon to the eBay shipping store, which is really nice because I use a bunch of the eBay branded boxes for all of my packages. So that quarterly coupon basically makes it so that I don't have to buy any of those size boxes and actually have to pay for them. You just got to be diligent about, even if you're not running low on those boxes at that specific time, make sure to use your quarterly coupon because it's basically free money that you're getting from eBay. So just make sure to use it. Put those boxes away until you actually do need them, and then you'll eventually reach a point where you got a nice little stash of everything, and then you can start ordering some new boxes and getting some new sizes, stuff like that. But I absolutely love that. That's a nice little perk of having an eBay store, is being able to do that. What are your guys' thoughts? Anything else to add on that one?
I have a smaller store and I get probably a much smaller coupon.
What is? Do you have the basic store? That's
I think so.
What
I think
do you know what you
20,
get for a coupon?
20 or 25 quarterly, I think.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't even think I've redeemed one. I'm bad at it.
you're slacking.
I don't
Whatever
like
it is, there's an option that is like you don't have to pay, because obviously if you do one that's like higher than your coupon, you have to pay some amount too. But I just redeemed mine recently, and I'm on the basic store. Actually, shout out, I forget who it was, but several episodes ago, I mentioned that I had about 1,000 listings, and I mentioned I was on the premium store paying $60 a month. Someone was like, well, you get 1,000 free ones with the basic, and you get 1,000 free ones for that category anyways. Like, you should really look into basic. So I did, and I'm saving like $40 a month now, which is great. But my coupon went down from 50 to either 20 or 25 quarterly. But I do, same as Nick, I don't even use the boxes as quickly as I buy them, but I just like give them to people. I mean, I take all the free ones I can get, all the ones that are included in my thing, and then I've got a decent stockpile, and I just give them away or whatever I need to do to to make it not become like overflowing. But I've got a pretty decent sized storage area for all my shipping, padded envelopes and boxes and things like that. So it's just well stocked. But as far as like any other freebies, no. That's we're not big enough stores, not big enough accounts to get like negotiated eBay final value fees or any other random stuff, unfortunately.
No t-shirts?
Nope.
Nothing.
Would be nice. Yeah, throw us some merch, throw us some shirts. I'd rep it in the podcast, get sponsored.
It's sponsored. There we go.
Michael B, discussion point for next live. Do you feel mid-era reverse holo rares stamped in early Nintendo e-reader are rarer than their holo counterpart based on packs needed to open to complete the set? I've always felt reverse holo rares are undervalued compared to the holo counterpart. Yes, sorry Dan, I know reverse holos aren't your yum. They are not my yum. I don't have the exact numbers on hand, but there are a handful of sets, maybe even the majority of sets where that is the case, I think. It's fairly simple math. You get 12 holos per box. If there's 16 holos in the set, you're getting about 0.75 of each holo per box. And then reverse holos, you're getting 36, but there's 100 and something of them. So you're getting about 0.33 approximately of each reverse holo. So yeah, most individual reverse holos, that would go for commons and uncommons too, are actually very approximately twice as rare, half or a third of the print run, something along those lines. As far as does that matter, I think the demand is so much more significant for holos. I think that my take is not too ridiculously uncommon, that a lot of people just want the regular set. They want a complete set, not a master set, and they don't care about reverse holos. Some people don't even know the difference. Some people would just take one or the other. They want a full set, reverses and regulars, whatever. I know I bought binders like that in the past from collections. So yeah, I think there are definitely many cases where they're more rare, but are they undervalued due to that? I don't think so.
Yeah, I guess my experience, like EX Team Rocket, because he's talking early Nintendo stamped reverses, and it seems like I don't feel like those aren't undervalued at all. I feel like those 9 times out of 10, it would outsell the regular Holo. Like the Dragonite, for example, I feel like would sell higher in the reverse with the gold name and the stamp on it. So I think I think they're doing well and definitely not undervalued in my book. I love them.
Yeah, you guys covered that pretty well. The only thing I'd add is I actually just listed a whole bunch of EX reverse holos. So if you're interested, be sure to check them out eBay store. No,
they're way undervalued. Go buy them all from Nick.
Noise.
I listed a whole bunch of them, the holos and the reverse holos, and a few things I noticed. So I typically list items. When I'm listing the item, I'll have another window open on my computer and search for that item and price mine the lowest currently listed as a buy it now on eBay. A lot of those reverse holos are listed extremely high on eBay as buy it now pricing. So I was using the last sold pricing, which was way lower than current buy it nows. So buy it now pricing is very, very high on eBay. Sale pricing is much lower than that. There really isn't many sales either, which I wouldn't say is for a lack of interest. I would say it's more so because of that pricing, because the ones that I did list are selling extremely well, and the reverse holos are selling way better than the holo cards. So I do think the reverse holos definitely have those are more popular than the regular holo cards for sure.
Like a random near mint from EX Team Rocket Returns, do you know approximately what you would have listed them at?
I just did Deoxys last night, and a lot of those were $10 a piece.
Like
between
$10,
$15. Yeah.
Yeah, I sell a handful of those through Evo. Some of the less desirable sets, they go all the way down to like $5. But there are quite a few that are around 10, if not 15, 20 for the more desirable species and some of the rares. They are, in my opinion, they're pretty healthy priced.
Yeah.
You
need to bring those back. Way better than the current ones.
Oh, I hate those current ones.
Just get rid of all reverse holos. They
don't look good at all. What'd you say?
Just get rid of all reverse holos.
Hot take. Scrap the alt arts. Who needs them?
Keep the alt arts. Just get rid of the reverse holos. They just screw up binders. If you go front back, then you've got the blanks for cards that don't have reverse holos like alt arts, and just messy look.
Reverse holos do good on TCG player.
Yeah. Those master set collectors.
Oh. So next question comes from PokeFamily Gaming. How do you guys feel about the new Arceus Ultra Premium Collection, $100 MSRP, GameStop exclusive, 2 metal cards, everyone has to buy in at the same price? Would you still buy heavy? So, for those of you who don't know already, I don't know if it's still available. I think it is, because I've been seeing a bunch of stuff on Facebook about them. But the new Arceus Ultra Premium Collection is available on GameStop for $100. You can pre-order up to 5 of them on their website. Your sitting cutie cam is blocking it.
Yeah. I don't know why it won't go away.
Good.
Oh, here it is. There we go.
It doesn't want to leave.
Yeah.
So there it is right there. I bought 5 of them. I'm going to open one for myself. I'm going to keep one sealed. I'm already thinking about Christmas, so I bought one to give away as one of my one of the Christmas giveaways and probably just hold on to a few more of them. But I think it's a cool product. I really do like the idea of metal cards. I was a little disappointed in these metal cards. I wish they did it more so like the Celebrations UPC, where it was like a gold Pikachu and Charizard. You could tell it was a different card than the typical Pikachu and Charizard. Where these ones, they look like the exact same card from Brilliant Stars. From the pictures, you really can't tell that it is a metal card. Sure, once you have it in hand, it's going to look a lot shinier and it's obviously going to be heavier. But I wish they did something different with it than how it is right now. I don't think it's going to be something that you need to buy and pricing is going to 10x on it right away. It seems like there's going to be a lot of supply of these ultra premium collections unless they start canceling orders on people. But it seems like there's going to be a ton of supply, so it seems like everyone who wants to get one is going to be able to get one. So I really can't see the pricing doing very much right out of the gate. Long term, maybe, but the other downside to these is with the metal cards. There's really no play to make with those because PSA, CGC both still aren't grading metal cards. So you really, it's not going to be something that you can open, grade the cards, and make money off of it because they're just not grading the metal cards right now. So I don't think you need to panic and go out and buy a ton of these. But I do think it's a cool product if you want to pick one up. Like I said, from GameStop, like Dan was showing.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say, what are you guys thinking on that one?
Yeah, I was gonna say just real quick, the metal cards can be encapsulated at PSA if it's signed. So if you're sending it in to authenticate a signature, they will encapsulate your metal cards. My buddy did
Really?
Charizard recently. So there is a small play, I guess, if you want to do that, but you're not grading the actual metal card itself. I've never seen that thing in my life until probably about 15 seconds ago. It definitely is rank number 3 between the Pikachu one and the Charizard one that are coming out. The Charizard one definitely being a play to be able to pick up at MSRP to make a quick buck. This thing, Arceus is an awesome god Pokemon, but not a huge fan of just like the contents itself. Not doing it for me. So I like Nick, I don't think you're going to be reaping huge rewards unless you're sitting on it for a long time. And instead of just sitting on that for a long time for $100, you're probably better off putting that $100 into something else. If you're just trying to make money.
Yeah, definitely. And then one more thing real quick. The Dan was just showing the packs. You really don't get any good packs in there. A couple of Brilliant Stars, a couple of Vivid Voltage, but Vivid Voltage is pretty cheap right now. Even Brilliant Stars is pretty cheap. And then Lost Origin and Astral Radiance, pretty duds there.
Would you rather hold a Lost Origin box for 6 months or this box for 6 months and then sell?
I would probably go with the UPC, I think.
I probably would too.
Really?
I only the main thing that I don't like if I were a retail consumer, I would take same price because they are. I would rather take the UPC. In my position, I did buy 5 of these because that was the limit. Probably dumb. I probably shouldn't touch it because I'm getting Lost Origin boxes at close to the ground floor. I'm getting them wholesale distribution. I'm buying these as a consumer. As it's mentioned in the question, everyone has the same buy-in price. I don't like products like that as much. I'd rather be buying in cheaper than everyone else. Obviously, naturally. So yeah, I bought 5. I think it's interesting. It's interesting enough to throw $500 at. I'll throw them to Evo. I'll store them for I'll store them there for a few years and see what happens. If UPCs continue to be an annual thing, there'll be some amount of people who buy 1 of each as they go, but then like ETBs, there'll be some amount of people that 2, 3, 5 10 years later, maybe decide to go back and buy some of the earlier ones, well, this will be the third one out of a series of 20 or however many they do. So that's part of my thinking, that like it might be one. Well, there's also the Zacian Zamazenta. There was a...
Oh, that one doesn't count. Like the ETB Plus or whatever it was.
Not the ETB Plus. There was actually an ultra premium collection.
Yeah. I remember that one. Yeah.
That was the original one, actually. So that's like the I think I'm down to only a few of those left, and they're quite a bit cheaper than the Celebrations and the Charizard, or the Charizard pre-orders as of right now. But Josh did mention something that I wanted to talk about, how you can encapsulate and you can essentially grade with PSA the metal cards, but they authenticate the card and then they grade the signature. They do that with the red label, right? They do that the same way.
Yeah, still on a red label. Yep.
Rusty recently found out that they'll also use the red label on fake cards. So anyone who didn't see, shout out TCA Gaming. Rusty usually does listen to these, so apologies, Rusty, to talk about the open wound. But yeah, he bought those Worlds 2004 cards that were basically just a real card, like probably an energy card or something, with something glued on the front or fastened to the front somehow, and then signed by Arita, whoever else. A lot of the big artists back at 2004 Worlds, and PSA somehow red label certified those. And if I remember correctly, was it just authentic, or were they actually graded? I don't remember now.
I think it was
Just authentic, yeah.
In either case, they were red label certified authentic, and then it said cut on the top, as if anyone knows what that means. Cut as an abbreviation for custom. I mean, who comes up with that?
Pretty bad.
And cut is 3 characters. The remainder of line 1 was blank, so it's not like it was cut XYZ whatever and they didn't have space for custom. Space was there for custom. So the fact that PSA red label authentic certifies items that are fake or items that they won't otherwise certify is like crazy. Absolutely mind-blowing that they would do that. Absolutely ridiculous that someone like Rusty could be duped into a purchase like that without... I mean, he even mentioned himself, had he read the description, one of them it didn't say it very clearly, but the other one it did. Just a crazy scenario. So yeah, if you want to encapsulate the card, though, Josh did give you the pro tip on just have someone ink it first, sign it, ink it, and then you'll get it encapsulated with that nice red label everyone loves. So
Jason Page be a Collecticon. $50, baby.
That is true. That is true.
I think he has a program. He definitely buys cards on the open market, signs them, and then just sells them on his website. I think he has a setup where, not even related to a convention, I think you can just mail him stuff, pay a fee, have it signed and returned. I think that's like an ongoing thing that he has through his website.
There's a play there.
Yeah.
Financial advice.
Yeah. Crazy. Here we go. Oh yeah, this one's me, right?
Yeah, this one's
So
you.
yeah, Celebi Collectibles. Been a while since I asked something, so my most long-winded question to date. PSA $22 bulk. That is big news that dropped quite recently. I think it dropped within the past 2 weeks, because I don't believe we touched on it. Or did it drop just over 2 weeks ago? Maybe it was.
No, it was I think it was the day he asked this question, actually, or it was after our last podcast.
Oh, okay. In any case, like when 18 happened, it was like really big news. Everyone did a video about it. I think I did a video about it. I submitted 700 cards. I'm not submitting any at 2022. 22 is higher than 18. I submitted 700 at 18. I still have 1,000 that have to come back from 2020. So I'm done skipping any of my 1.5 plus old cards. I do not want those to get to 2 years. If and when I get something that's like super high end, I'll go 50 or 100 or 150. Special delivery Charizard, I went 150. But I'm not going to touch 22. My next batch will probably go out at like 15. And I would think that it's fairly reasonable to expect it to open up potentially through the lottery system if they're smart by the end of the year. That's assuming that they actually fall that they actually catch up and keep their promises of returning all middlemen 1.5+ plus old submissions by like the end of October. So yeah, that's where I'm at. It's big news, but not really. I'm not doing anything with it. So what about you, Josh? You said anything?
I submitted 0 at 18. So I won't be doing also here. So basically what I have is a box of about probably 200 cards that are really good PSA 10 qualities, things that I want to submit to PSA for the collection. And as I mentioned earlier, PSA is for the collection for some things like high-end vintage, but with the bulk turnaround of 120 to 150 days at $22, it's complete BS. And it might have almost turned me off completely for a long time. I'm actually sending some of those now to CGC to see how they're grading these type of cards, because I haven't submitted them to CGC in a long time. Because 120 to 150 days for bulk is BS. When CGC is doing it in like 3 weeks, I would never submit something for $22 to frickin' flip it personally, unless it if I'm submitting to PSA, it's usually higher stuff, so it's $50 submission tier, $100 submission tier. I'm not going to be playing with flipping cards at PSA for $22, waiting 120 to 150 days to flip it. I'm going to be sending to CGC for that.
$13.50 for like 1 to 3 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely sounds a lot better. I was surprised by the $22 bulk tier opening. I didn't think we were going to see that until October, November, somewhere around there. So I was surprised by that. I won't be sending anything at 22. I sent a whole bunch of stuff off at 18. And I actually just got my first $18 per card submission back to me today. Actually, just got delivered today. I think that was because I was one of the first people to have get cards in at 18. I remember they announced the $18 special one afternoon. It was like a Thursday afternoon. I saw that, got a submission ready that night, mailed it overnight that Friday, so they received it on Saturday. Got entered in their system fairly early on, and then I just got that one back today, which is really cool. I'm sure the rest of them will take quite a bit longer than that, just because of how many cards PSA actually got in for that July special. But it is nice to see that PSA is making progress on getting clear through the backlog, kind of getting back to normal. The $22 price point for the bulk tier is something that definitely needs to get lowered, and I think it will for sure get lowered once PSA kind of officially clears through their backlog and catches back up on everything, because $22 is a little pricey for the bulk tier.
Yeah.
For that time, the turnaround time's nuts.
Yeah, that too. So, next question comes from Rockets Charizard 88. Question: from your opinion, does vintage or modern have more growth in the short term versus long term? That's an interesting question. Short term, I would definitely have to go with vintage over modern, just because modern, typically what happens with modern is pricing is really, really high right out of the gate. Pricing crashes a few weeks after release, just because there's so much supply. And then modern product is in print for roughly 2-ish years. So short term would be that kind of 1 to 2 years, maybe 3 years in my opinion. So I would say, if anything, you're better off doing vintage if you're going to be investing in vintage or modern in the short term. Long term, I've been more optimistic with Modern lately. Setting back a lot more booster boxes of Modern sets, hoping that in the long term those will do well. Obviously, buying from distributor, my price point is lower. But I do think Modern could do well. It's just going to take a very, very long time. You're going to have to hold on to that product longer than most people. Like, obviously, most people right now are buying the newest set, Lost Origin, saying they're going to hold on to it, but then a year, 2 years, 3 years, they'll sell it for probably the same price that they bought it at. But if you can hold that for 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, you could definitely, I feel like you could definitely do well with Modern. So I do think there are plays to be made in Modern for sure. Me personally, most of what I do for my collection, setting stuff back, is with Vintage over Modern, and that has more to do with what I enjoy versus what I think has better potential. Obviously, if I'm going to be holding on to this stuff for years and years and years, I want to be able to enjoy it. I don't want it to just sit in boxes and me to never look at it. It's just to collect dust. So that's always been something for me. It's got to be something that I enjoy, or else it's just going to be a strictly numbers game. And once I hit, say these boxes go up 50%. Once they go up 50%, then I'm going to sell them. Whereas with vintage stuff, I enjoy that stuff. So if it goes up 50%, I'll consider selling it, but then I have that attachment to it, so I might not sell it, and I might hold on to it longer and be able to experience more of a growth on it. So that's kind of my thoughts on that question right there.
Yep, not bad. I'll give you a pass on that one. No wonder you lost the debate earlier. No.
Thanks.
This is the age-old question, right? And it's kind of vague still. Like, what's modern, what's vintage? So just to give you an idea, talking first edition base, and we'll talk like Lost Origins for modern, like ultra modern. So for short term, vintage hasn't done anything for me in the last 8 months. It's gone flat or lost money. So when I'm talking short term, I'm talking within a year. I don't see it doing much of anything. Like, if you were to go buy a PSA 10 Zapdos card, or which is like what I like, or something like that, it's likely not going to increase much percentage in the next year, for sure. I think some modern stuff, it's tough also. If you're looking for a short-term flip in the current market, your best bet is grading cards, even modern cards like we've seen with the Moonbryon and all these Charizards, and even like the Gengar from the new set and all these other character rares. They seem to do pretty well after they're graded. If you're getting decent grades, that seems to be the play for growth, like quick growth. As far as just buying something and sitting on it short term doesn't sound amazing for anything in under a year. Long term, I think you're going to definitely see a bigger percentage yielded return on modern because of the current price point, like $100 box. In 15 years of Lost Origin, it could be $500, so it could 5x, whatever. So that's huge. Versus like a PSA 9 first edition Charizard, if that 5x's in 15 years, that's pretty dang good. You're looking at what, $100,000 card? That'd be insane in my opinion for 600 plus population. So modern for the long term, percentage wise. But if you want to just not have as much, like if you bought $20,000 worth of modern product, you're going to be taking up a lot of real estate. Versus one slab, it's to each his own, really. What you prefer.
Yeah, as Josh said, modern and vintage are just so vague. Vintage, are you talking PSA 10 Jungle Pikachu? That's fallen 85%, and I think it should fall another 50 to 80%, honestly. And I think it should, and I think it will ultimately get there if and when we get to $10 grading that turns around in 3 to 6 months. So there's good modern and there's good vintage that I think both short and long term are good. I'm getting several dozen boxes of Charizard Ultra Premium Collection. Very, very short term, as in weeks, I'm going to double or triple up my money from wholesale. That's cheating. If you're able to get it at retail, Target, Walmart, your LGS that's charging retail, if any of them do that. There are short-term plays, very, very short-term plays in Ultra Modern. I graded a special delivery Charizard and I made $400. Like, that's not really growth in and of itself. That's growth because I modified it. That's growth because I took a raw card, graded it as a 10, and then flipped it. I think there's tons of plays in both. You just have to be careful that you're making the right ones. And if you listen to this podcast every other week, and if you consume a lot of any of our 3 videos, I think we kind of give a lot of hints as to what we're playing with. So I think it's out there.
Did a lot of plays in both. Give me one good vintage go up in 6 months, short term.
Vintage go up and I mean, most of them. It's weird because, like, you mentioned, a lot of it over the past 6 to 8 months was flat. A lot of it's cheating. A lot of it's buying an auction and selling it as a buy it now. That's not really the price moving. That's just you buying at low market and selling at high market. So every item has a massive range. Say a vintage card. Let's look at like a PSA 10 first edition jungle Clefable or Jolteon or any random PSA 10 first edition jungle holo. Some of them are sub 1,000. Some of them are in the $2,000 range. I think you've got Vaporeon, Snorlax, several thousand, few thousand to several thousand. On any given, like, those might only sell once every few months. So there are data points over the past 6 to 8 months. I know Jake from Pokenomics, he recently bought, he actually just talked about it in a recent live. He bought one for like $1,400 several months ago. And then the next auction 3 months later went for like $2,000. So he made $600. I would say that the card is still flat. Just 2 different cards on 2 different days. The market price range is somewhere between $1,300 and $2,200 for that card. Huge range, but that's the nature of illiquid, non-fungible items. So another card that he made an example of, I think he bought one at like $1,800, and then the next sale went for like $1,500 or $1,600. So that one went down. I think it's still fair to say that it's flat, but the main opportunities that I see, it's kind of cheating, because I would just say buy auction lots and sell them as buy it nows individually, because I actively do that and it works well. So to do it from a fair standpoint, buying it as an auction and then having to auction it in 6 months, there's nothing I feel that comfortable doing that with vintage, to be fair. So short term, I guess I would feel better in Ultra Modern. I would feel better buying a Lost Origin booster box almost, and then just thinking that obviously there's a risk with the reprint thing, but the floor is like, your downside is negative $15, and your upside is like plus 80 if it doesn't Evolving Skies. So yeah,
I definitely agree with the plays being there for vintage. Like, if you buy low in an auction, you can definitely flip in next week, even if you find the right buyer. So there's huge plays like that with the lower pop stuff. So, but yeah, if you're talking straight MSRP buying stuff, you're dead in the water if you're going to just flip it into an auction.
Yep. Yeah, I don't sell auctions really hardly at all for that reason.
I would say I was talking with someone on Instagram, and there were a few PSA 10 first edition Neo Rev sales that happened recently. Mischievous, which is a pretty low pop one, going for, it was like $3,500, and then Houndoom going for $5,000. Both of those cards sold just recently at an eBay auction, and both of those cards sold for way lower than previous sales. So I think there's definitely some plays to be had. Obviously, it could go down even further, but those prices seem really, really good compared to previous sales that we've had. Especially considering that they're fairly low pop, really popular Pokemon, especially with the Houndoom. I could almost see that as being a play if you can get it for around that price. Obviously, that was kind of a one and done thing. You might not be able to find a seller to sell you that card at that price. But then more like easily doable. I would go with first edition base, specifically PSA 8s and PSA 9s for the holo cards. I think those are definitely towards the floor of pricing that we'll see on those cards, especially, like I said, if you can pick them up at auction. I really can't see those cards going much cheaper than they are right now. Outside of the big three, I think the big three are going to remain at that price for quite some time. But Alakazam, Chansey, Raichu, all those other cards, I think that could be a decent play right now.
It also could just be dead money for quite some time. Like I could see scenarios where broader markets, we go deeper into a recession, we go into a depression, inflation continues to get out of control, like broader market things continuing to happen. It could get rough across everything. I think. But that said, I did actually recently, not any 4-figure ones, but I picked up some PSA 10 first edition WotC Holos from a PWCC weekly. A few weeks ago, there was a lot of them. And I picked up a Muck PSA 10 for like 300. I picked up, I showed them off in a live fairly recently. It was only 3 of them for like $300 a piece. And to me, it's like, I sell PSA 10 Ultra Modern booster packs for $150 a piece. So do I want 2 PSA 10 Ultra Modern booster packs, or do I want 1 PSA 10 vintage WotC first edition holo? To me, it's like very, very easy. But as far as which ones do I want as inventory to sell today, I would say I would take 2 Hidden Fates PSA 10 packs because I'd sell them by the end of the week. Whereas these WotC first edition holos that I bought for $300 each and I've listed for like $450, those might sit for 6 months to a year. They might not be sold 2 years from now. It's a crazy world we live in.
Right in the PC.
Yeah.
What's your answer to your question there, Josh?
What?
What's your answer to your question?
Oh. No, yeah, I don't think there is one. Unless you're buying stuff at, like Dan says, like exactly what he does for his business generally. You're buying stuff cheap in auction, PWCC, like I do all the time, and Heritage, buying cheap stuff that's undersold and sell it for higher.
Or making crack plays and upgrading the number.
Yep, and finding out it's got a pen mark in it. Yep, that's the way it goes.
Yeah, no, I do definitely prefer that option because you're making a almost guaranteed amount, basically buying under market, selling at market.
Yep.
Yeah, that play just always exists. It's like low liquidity, illiquidity, and non-fungibility can be seen as cons. If you have to sell, they are very much so cons. But if you're patient and you have time and you buy from the impatient sellers who have to sell, and then you sell to the just eBay shopper who doesn't have as much time and just wants to buy the low list, buy it now, that's where you can capitalize on it. So yeah. Next question comes from Marty S. Do you think with such a high number of resealed and counterfeit boxes and singles in the market, this will help the premium prices on graded cards hold their value, especially when it comes to WotC era cards? In my opinion, when it comes to the PSA 8 and below range, the premium you're paying for is just as much the proof of authenticity as it is the card grade itself. So sub 8, I don't really like it. There is almost nothing I like sub 8. if you're talking Illustrator, if you're talking Trophy, if you're talking anything where there's less than 500 copies in the world, sub 8 is fine. Any set card though, base first edition maybe being the exclusion. I don't think they need to be graded. I don't think there's really a premium. Maybe that's because I've been so ingrained in the hobby for so long. I have no concerns taking a raw card in hand and authenticating it myself. I don't believe PSA can either authenticate nor grade a card better than I can. So I grade with them because the market trusts them more than they trust me. The liquidity goes up because it's a known, established name in the hobby. But as far as for me, for myself, like, I have no concerns with authenticating a card. And I just don't see fakes being that much of a concern for me. Broader market, yeah, I get it. Maybe someday, 5, 10, 20 years from now, it'll be even more of a thing as the numbers go up. Maybe there'll be more reason for people to try to fake cards. We do see periodically fake stamps. We see different issues popping up, but overall, like, fakes in the hobby are not that big of a deal. That they're not that rampant. Obviously, you go on eBay, you go on Amazon, you can buy flash cards, all the fake Chinese, like, those things stand out like crazy. But yeah, overall, like, I don't think it makes the sense to pay any premium on a sub PSA 8 set card.
Yeah. I guess I'll tell you one thing: the resealed boxes will prevent me from ever buying one and keeping it sealed. I
I
like,
agree
especially
there.
vintage. If I ever buy a vintage like Team Rocket box off Heritage, it's getting here and it's getting sliced open down video next day. Like, buying from those auction sites, it'd have to come from somebody trusted in the industry. If I am ever buying a box to keep sealed, even from like Probstein and stuff like that, I probably should rip open my box I bought of Yu-Gi-Oh just to make sure I didn't get completely boned there. So that definitely has tainted that for me. Never was a box collector, but never probably will be now. But the modern counterfeit scares me because I'm really good at looking at vintage cards, vintage card backs, knowing what I have in my hand. But I've seen some really good modern counterfeits. So if I ever find myself buying like modern PSA 10 Charizards, like, I've seen some really good ones that are tough to tell in hand raw. That I definitely, I wouldn't personally pay a premium, but the premium is going to be there because it's graded. So it's it's going to be interesting, that's for sure, as technology advances.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you guys on that one. Don't have anything else to add to that one. So, Mr. Walrus, getting ready to send my first WATA submission. Is there best practice to do before, to do before so, and just trust their cleaning service? I'll pass this one right off to Josh because I've actually never submitted to WATA. I don't know anything about grading video games.
My first recommendation is just submit to CGC at the end of the year, but I'd already told the first recommendation is go watch Get the Greg Games on YouTube because he does similar stuff to me. He's live streaming heritage auctions for video games. He's got tons of videos on how to clean your video games. Huge recommendation. Couldn't recommend it more. Great guy. But yeah, I wouldn't. There is methods you could do to clean your own, but they also do not remove stickers anymore. As a result, they don't do that anymore. So if they're getting a cleaning service done, it's just gonna be a late cleaning, which you might as well just let them do it, I guess, at that point, because you're probably not going to get rid of more of what they will, when it arrives there. But besides that, I pretty much full send. Just package that son of a gun good because it's way different than sending cards. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I've not yet submitted video games. I do have it on a list, on a to-do list. Probably won't happen until next year, so maybe I'll be sending the VGA, CGC, and WATA all at the same time. I'm a bit ashamed to say it, but not too much so because I will. When I bought all my ultra modern Switch games, when I bought my son Mario Party for Switch, when I bought new Pokemon Snap, when I bought whatever else I bought, I didn't buy one copy. I bought 3. I'm grading ultra modern, baby. Special
How do you
delivery
store 'em?
Charizard plays. What's that?
How do you store them?
They're sitting in a box.
Yeah, because it's not guaranteed mint because like Cam just got his or basically modern Grand Theft Auto games. They come in the trilogy. They're sealed cellophane, and he sent it there, and they pulled it out of the cellophane, and he got one perfect game out of 3. So those are
See,
usually the ones that sell good. Modern, the perfect ones.
yeah, I'm gonna try it because why not? I mean, the play that I just made with the special delivery Charizard feels pretty silly to me. Feels pretty silly to me to sell PSA 10 ultra modern packs for 150, but it is a thing. You cannot like it. The market doesn't care. The person that buys it doesn't care. There will be a market, I think, to some extent for 9.6, 9.8, A plus, A plus plus. And I just want to learn about that's how I'm gonna dip my toes into video game grading with ultra modern. Um, sorry, Cam and James, if you're listening. But as you said, Cam has made the play too. So my thinking was there was actually a game or two that I bought 5 copies of because I wanted it for my household, my kids. We've been playing some Mario Party lately. And then a couple games like I have set aside for my niece and nephew for Christmas. So buy 5 games, open the 2 worst condition ones, and gift one of them and then open one for me, and then have 3 copies to choose from for the best 1 or 2 examples. So yeah, it's crazy that that's a thing and that it will probably work, but that's the world we live in.
Yeah, I've been very tempted to be that guy to have the guy in Target come unlock the bin and be like, "Hey, hand me all 10 of those. Let me go through them. All right, here you go, bud." Like, I can't do it. Can't bring myself to do it. Feel too bad.
See, I just ordered mine online and they came straight to me. That probably is the play though. Go pick from like 20 examples instead of just blind online. Um, but yeah, it's I don't make the rules, I just play by them. So
Damn
that's
right.
that's that. Mr. Walrus did hit us with a lot of questions, so we're gonna have a lot of Mr. Walrus questions coming up. Favorite video game and memory. Oof. That one's tough. I wouldn't consider myself like a massive gamer or anything, but the first few that come to mind, Pokemon Yellow, just that worm light. Like I used to go camping 10 days every year. I went camping up in the Adirondacks in New York. And over any random 10-day period in the Adirondacks in the middle of summer, you're going to have a few rainy days, like most of the time. So rainy days in the tent, late at night, playing with the worm light on my Kiwi. This isn't the one. This is actually a sealed copy I bought more recently. That's some of my best memories, like playing, and then obviously like on the bus, the link cable, trying to duplicate the Mew, all that crazy stuff. So Pokemon Yellow is right up there, and then like kind of crazy, but I played more N64 in college than I did in my childhood. So many late nights playing drunken Mario Kart or drunken Super Smash Brothers. Common theme, drunken Mario Party, Super Smash Brothers, and Mario Kart. So much fun with like a room full of, I mean, sometimes we had 2 TVs going, 2 consoles, bunch of people hanging out, great times. So that's a couple of my favorite games and memories.
Yeah, mine was like just the midnight release video games for Call of Duty, Halo 3, and then playing all the way through the night and then going to work the next day wide open. Just did not sleep. Like, just grinding my way through that first prestige with 5 friends in the party, just clapping cheeks the entire time. I think at one point in World at War, that video game in domination, I was like 67-0 because we had a 6-man party and it was amazing. It was absolutely love it.
Nice.
Yeah, I am similar. Never been huge into video games. Favorite one growing up was Age of Empires. Age of Empires 2 and then Age of Empires 3. Absolutely loved those two games. Played them a ton. What'd you say down there?
God, you're old. No.
I did play those a little bit. Those are fun.
Nice. They're nice. I didn't have a fast enough computer.
So Mr. Walrus again. Is Pokemon Center exclusive products more of a threat to sealed than people realize? I don't necessarily think so. I think if Pokemon wanted to, they could remove distribution and sell everything direct to their website, which I think that would be that would hurt a lot of people and be a big problem for a lot of businesses. So I can't see them ever doing that, but I think that would be the biggest issue. In terms of like the Pokemon exclusive products, like the ETBs that they have, and then the different like GameStop releases and stuff like that. I don't think that's a problem. It's just another variant for people to collect, which I don't think that's a bad thing. So I can't see a reason why the exclusive products would be a bad thing.
Yeah,
Can you guys
go ahead?
Can you guys see a reason why?
Yeah, the sitting cuties I think have a huge influence on sealed product now, especially with Dan over there clearing them out.
Hold on, where are we?
But no,
There we
not
go.
really. There it is. There it is. Yeah. He's rolling in debt, people. I need to start a GoFundMe, help this guy out because it's getting serious.
Uh,
I don't see any effects at all personally. I've bought I think once or twice off Pokemon Center. It's not usually where I play. Dan did yesterday, at least 3 times.
I buy once or twice a week. I have a problem. Please help.
GoFundMe link down below in the description.
Um, so yeah, I think if I had to guess, I think this would be mainly targeted towards like Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs. I think a very common play that people have been making recently is to buy the Pokemon Center ETBs with the thought similar to we talked to earlier with the premium collection from GameStop, the Arceus premium collection, is that no one's getting in cheaper. Everyone is paying the same price. It's a level playing field. If I buy an ETB, I'm buying it from my distributor for 25. But if I'm buying a Pokemon Center ETB, I have to buy it for 50 from the Pokemon Center as anyone else does. So I think that's a very common play lately. Is the production of those going to deter or take away from the normal one? I have no idea. Honestly, the reason that I got out of my sealed complete ETB collection was the introduction of Pokemon Center ETBs. It had already gotten so unwieldy, so massive and valuable that I just couldn't justify adding so much more volume every set release. 2 ETBs, in some cases 4. Like in Evolving Skies, having 2 variants and then 2 Pokemon Center variants. So what that will do long term, I've heard so many people speculate about it. I don't really have a great theory. I loved Celebrations. I love that set. I love Greninja Gold Star. I made a video quite a while back about buying like 60 of those. Not even at Pokemon Center for 50. I was buying them for like 70 to 80 a piece. I liked that play. It's actually they're selling very slowly for like 120 bucks a piece through Troll and Toad. I don't even know what they're going for on eBay anymore, but yeah, I like the plays to just buy a couple of them, flip them for a little bit of money. I don't even like it a lot though, because I'm paying too much. I don't like paying 50 for them like everyone else is. I like paying 25 for the ones that retail for 40. But As far, yeah, them being a threat, I don't have much of an idea, honestly. Mr. Walrus again. Has having a YouTube channel helped your business grow significantly, or is it just a tool for engagement? I think such a massive part of life in general, not just in the Pokemon sphere, is networking. It's kind of an unfortunate thing, but if you leverage it properly, and it's kind of bad to say it in that way, like, don't use people, don't like create genuine connections with people, create like actual relationships. But if you do it properly and you create a bunch of relationships, like anytime some big news comes out, anytime some big auction lot comes up that people know that I like to buy, I get like DMs, like I get information quicker and easier, just because like, oh hey, this is something that's up Dan's alley, let me send it to him. And a handful of people do that, which is great. So like, just access the information, the engagement, as you mentioned. Certain opportunities definitely come up. I mean, this podcast came, well, I guess this podcast spawned the beginning of my YouTube channel, but my partnership with Jake on Pokenomics Patreon, that likely wouldn't have happened if he hadn't been watching my videos and engaging with my content that way. So certain opportunities come up. I recently started Buy It Now consignments. I don't think, had I just randomly opened those up a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, before having a YouTube, I don't think anyone would have ever sent to me. There wouldn't have been a name, there wouldn't have been a face. Maybe through my 5,000 posts on E4 years ago, some amount of people might have felt comfortable with that, but more so now that there's a name and a face and there's YouTube content and I can show some cards off. And so yeah, absolutely, it opens up doors. And then just creating the, like, it's almost an ease of, like, when we go to Denver, Josh, we haven't met yet in person, in real life, but I know you so well, it feels like it's crazy. You've watched a bunch of content, I've watched a bunch of mine. We're gonna have a great time in Denver when we get there. It'll feel like we've known each other for so long, because in some ways we have. And then that's not really business, but in some ways it can be. I kind of know what you're after watching your YouTube channel. You kind of know what I do, what I buy, what I'm after. Things have popped up sporadically where people just hit me up, hey, do you want to buy my collection? So yeah, it's hard to like put a real number to it, or it's hard to fully conceptualize what it might be, but there's a lot of like intangible stuff that pops up.
Yep. Yeah, 100% agree. I don't have nearly as much. I don't have a consignment service. That's got to be huge for you, that YouTube being able to pump through that. I have an eBay, but like I said, I don't even mention that in my YouTube videos. It's just linked down below usually, and it probably does produce a little bit of more attraction, but usually it's more of like, if I'm cracking a card and it's got a YouTube video dedicated to this card and it ends up being sold, people will message me on Instagram through the YouTube video asking, hey, you're selling that card, what's going on, let me know. So YouTube definitely does help in that aspect. And also, like Dan said, getting to know these guys and all these other people, definitely tons of connections. I know real estate people, I know people that can help me with the mortgage if I need to refinance, and now I know tons of different people. And like, if I went to London, I could have a guy meet me for dinner. Like, it's insane, the reach something like YouTube has. It's crazy. So pretty awesome.
Yeah, I would agree with you too. It definitely does help being able to get your name out there. From a business perspective, for sure. Especially like with what Dan was saying with the consignments. I started auction consignments, and same thing. Probably would not have. Well, it actually did start. Well, no, I had the YouTube channel still when it started. So yeah, it probably wouldn't have started if I didn't have the YouTube channel, just because people you can kind of trust people when you actually are able to see them and hear them talk, even though you might not have never talked to the person yourself or met the person in person. You definitely have a sense of trust towards the person. Whereas if I didn't have a YouTube channel, the first person who sent me a consignment probably wouldn't have sent me everything that he had sent me, because my first consignment was really, really big. So I can't imagine him sending that consignment to me if I didn't have presence on YouTube. But I will say it has definitely helped the business. But it's not anything super significant. I would still say I'm still doing YouTube because I enjoy it. Still having fun with it more so than it helping the business. Or being something that helps my business. I'm more having fun with you, looking for it to help with the business.
Yeah, none of us are making PokeRev AdSense type money.
Poker V.
Poker V. Oh. So Cole Hub asks, I'm looking to start selling some of my collection as single. I have shipping materials and a PO box. How do I go about listing cards on eBay and other platforms? So the biggest thing is just create an eBay account and get started. That's where everyone starts. That's kind of it. It sounds basic, but that's the best advice. Just get started. You're going to make mistakes as you start out selling on eBay if you haven't already sold anything on eBay before. You're going to make those mistakes. It's fine. Everyone makes those same mistakes. Just use it as a learning experience and don't make the same mistake twice. Couple things if you're not familiar with eBay, I would definitely recommend listing stuff as buy it nows over auctions, just so that you can control the pricing. If you have a brand new eBay account, throw up a few 99-cent auctions just to kind of build up your feedback a little bit, so people are more trusting of you. Plus to bring more exposure to your buy it now listings. So if you have some cheap cards, throw them up as a 99-cent auction. Just let them sell for whatever they sell for. Have some buy it nows mixed in as well. If you're looking into other platforms, I would personally recommend TCG Player. I really like selling on TCG Player. It's really, really simple as well. So if you're looking for a platform that's more simplified than even eBay, which eBay is pretty simple as well. But if you're looking for a even more simple platform, TCG Player is a really good option. I enjoy selling on there, and it's really nice because you're not having to take pictures, write up a description, and that all you're entering your price point, which you can see the low end of the market, the mid range of the market, and the high range of the market right within that little listing template. So you're setting your price point, you're setting your quantity, and that's all you're doing. Whereas with eBay, you gotta write up your title, take some pictures, write your description, set your shipping costs. Again, it's fairly straightforward, but it is a little bit more depth. So there's a few things that to hopefully get you started, but the biggest thing is to just go for it. You're never going to feel like you're all set up, ready to start listing on eBay. You're no matter how ready you feel, you are going to make mistakes. It happens with everyone. So the biggest thing is to just get started with selling.
Yep. Yeah, and a couple things to add. If you're having issues getting over a hump of people not wanting to buy because you have low feedback, is maybe just buy a few cheap items, some cheap shipping supplies from different things, and get that 10 feedback or whatever, just to make you look like a real person instead of some bot account. But having consistent pictures, consistent background in your pictures also helps. People prove to you that you're a real person. So just got to jump in.
Yeah, and as Nick said, just get started. A lot of I started my eBay account long ago, and there's a lot more limits now. There's a lot more how many active listings you can have at once, the total dollar value of them, the monthly dollar amount of sales you can do. So get it started sooner rather than later so that you can slowly start going through those tiers, getting those things unlocked. Same thing with TCG Player. There's different seller levels and X amount of sales, X amount of dollars. You can have more listings and just yeah. I think YouTube too. There's a lot of really specific introductory videos for if you want to get right down to someone making a Pokemon card listing right alongside you. I think I have a video at some point in my backlog where I did it with graded cards, but I'm sure there's someone doing it with raw cards. I know Nick has packing videos. I have packing videos. There's a lot of stuff out there on YouTube. So if one part of the process in particular really worries you, or should I do that? Try searching it on YouTube and just watching someone do it could be helpful. Next question comes from Your Average Player. Question: what is your memorabilia grail? Out of any item that brings nostalgia, what would you own? Whew. That's a good question.
Glad I'm not first.
What's that?
Glad I'm not first.
Yeah. So honestly, Nick has one. He used to have one in his background, but KB Toys, like I used to actually in my childhood shop there a decent amount, and that fossil uncut sheet, I think that would go for like memorabilia. I think that counts.
That is memorabilia.
It is an uncut sheet of cards. I guess if that one isn't satisfactory, kind of a strange one, but again, I believe Nick also has one. I didn't really ever interact with the Pokemon Snap Station at Blockbuster, but that is an item that very early on into me knowing of its existence, which actually like wasn't back in the day. Like I never interacted one. I didn't really even know they were a thing. But early 2014, when I got back into the hobby, I forget exactly where I came across it, but I'm like, man, I got to have one of those one day. That's really, really cool. Because I did play Pokemon Snap. I just never like went to Blockbuster and printed them out. I don't know how long of a window Blockbuster had them, but we had like a mom and pop video store that we went to more frequently, but on occasion we did go to Blockbuster, and I just never remember it being there. Maybe it was a window of time where we, like the mom and pop one was closer, and it was just like support the, my dad actually knew the guy who ran it, Family Video or something I think it was called. So yeah, maybe it was just the 6 months or a year or 2 years that it was there. I literally just never went to a Blockbuster, could be. But that's still like a piece of memorabilia type that I really want to have someday.
Called Family Video, mom and pop shop. It's everywhere. It was everywhere until just recently. They all closed down, but they were
no. There is like maybe it wasn't called Family Video. It's one of those things like New York Pizza. There are a million pizzerias named New York Pizza, but a lot of them are actually like independent.
Gotcha.
It was one of those situations. It may have had the name of a chain, but it was not a chain.
It wasn't the Family Video. Got it.
Yeah.
The number 2 video rental company in the world.
Yeah.
Small mom and pop shop.
Yeah, when I think memorabilia grail, I think sports for me. Sergey Fedorov has always been my guy back in the day, watching him in the 90s with my dad on the TV. I have the first ever signed thing I got was a signed Sergey Fedorov puck, probably worth about $15 soaking wet now. So that thing's pretty cool. It's been sitting there for a long time. Brings a lot of nostalgia, but is that an additional question? I would say, out of any item that brings nostalgia, what would you own? Like something I don't have, or is that, it looks like 2 questions, so I'm going to take it as that. I would probably take some signed stick from Sergey Fedorov. That would be sick. Something along those lines would be insane.
So for me, with Pokemon, I already have my memorabilia grail. It was definitely the Pokemon Snap Station. I never played the Pokemon games, Game Boy, N64, or anything like that. I never played much of the video games growing up as a kid. But I do vividly remember going to Blockbuster every Friday and actually playing on the Pokemon Snap kiosk. So when I got back into Pokemon, realized that those app stations existed still. That was always something in the back of my mind that I wanted to get at some point, and it was a massive challenge actually getting one. But I am super glad that I did. I hardly ever play it. I turn it on every once in a while and play it, but just being able to have it and look at it and see it, it makes for a really cool display piece. Outside of Pokemon, though, because that's really the only memorabilia thing that I would want / have within Pokemon. Really can't think of anything else. But outside of Pokemon, probably a very unrealistic goal of mine. I am a huge Titanic buff. Absolutely love everything about the Titanic. So I would absolutely love to one day own something that was on the Titanic. Probably would never happen because anything that was actually on the Titanic brought back up sells for like tens to hundreds to millions of dollars. Super expensive. So probably won't happen, but that would be something that I would absolutely love to have as well.
Non-Pokemon, I can't even think of like a...
You can't even think of a non-Pokemon one?
I collect coins, but those wouldn't be like memorabilia. I really enjoy sports. I'm a Rangers fan. I'm a Jets, Mets. Unfortunately, like no too recent championships out of any of them. So like, I mean, the Mets was 86. The Rangers, I was alive, but I wasn't a fan yet. 93, 94. The Jets was 1968 or whatever. So maybe some piece of memorabilia from the championship that will be next one. The Mets are looking good this year for the World Series, so maybe the winning ball from that like walk-off Grand Slam Game 7 that hasn't yet happened. Well, we'll see. Other than that, like honestly, yeah, there's not too much. It's weird. Like I love sports, but I'm not that big on sports memorabilia. Like honestly, even having a ball or a puck or a stick. Like Henrik Lundqvist was one of my favorite players to watch play. Absolute beast in the net. Shesterkin, their new guy, seems really good. They might have a really good transition from one to the next. Just dominant goaltending. Hopefully they can get some goal scoring around them. But yeah, like I don't know, having one of their sticks or gloves, like it would be kind of cool, but it's not like, I don't know, it's not like that huge of a thing for me. Relative to what Pokemon cards go for, like I could probably get something game used, game worn, whatever, like super cheap compared to what Pokemon cards do. So yep. I just don't even really I don't have the drive to that much. For whatever reason.
I gotta ask Nick before we move on. Are you Team Jack or Team Cal?
Definitely Jack.
Wow, basic. All right, we can go on. Actually, I like Mr. Andrews. He was my guy. I thought he had a shot.
Oh yeah.
There might have been a little cut there. We just had a minor outage, an OBS crash, but we rebounded. We did not lose the first 2 hours recording, which is great. So going to continue chugging right along. Pro tip for anyone using OBS, save it as an MKV, because if you crash while recording as an MP4, I've heard that you lose everything. And thankfully, I changed that setting like a week ago. Otherwise, I think we would have lost everything. So that would have absolutely sucked.
Yeah.
Anyways,
you're one of the only channels recording 7-hour-long marathons with OBS. Usually, people use it to go live.
Yeah. I mean, the last few episodes we had gone live, which I guess if you crash during a live, I think you need to relaunch as like a new live.
Yep.
While we're talking about technical difficulties, last week I've been doing a weekly live. James, ZNG Emporium, texted me like 2 hours after I was done with my live, and he said, your YouTube's still showing as live. There was some glitch where, however I ended my stream when I closed out OBS, it showed me as live. So I did like I think it was a 2-hour live. Yeah, 2:30 to 4:30, I'm pretty sure. And at like 6:30, it showed as if I was live. If you clicked on it, it showed the last second or two, and then it just froze. And now if you look at my last week's live, I think it shows as if it's 4 hours, but when you click into it, it's only a 2-hour live. What I had to do is I had to rejoin it, which you normally can't do 2 hours later, and then end it again. Really, really weird glitch that I somehow did. Anyways, though, sorry for that little interruption. We'll get right back into the questions. And Mr. Walrus has a deep one. I guess OBS could not handle the depth of this question after all the silly cardboard talk. So, what are you actively doing daily to be better people? That's like really deep. So me personally, I've definitely been consuming way too much Pokemon content. I think it's a great thing to try and just learn and grow as a human being. Way too much Pokemon content in general. I've been trying to just expand, broaden my content consumption, different podcasts, different things, different sciencey type videos, I've always loved math. Chemical engineering lends itself well. Pokemon lends itself fairly well too. Being a business owner, running all these spreadsheets, doing all the math, but yeah, just trying to like learn and grow every day, just in general, just about all topics, about all things. That's one thing I guess that I do daily, actively. Another thing is, and I think I should take more care and be better with it. I think everyone can and should too. Just being the best father, brother, son, husband, being the best one that I can be. Part of me quitting my job to do this full time was also to reduce the overall amount of hours that I work and have a better work-life balance in general. And I think I'm doing a good job at it, but I could be doing better. So yeah, that's this question coming out of nowhere for a PokeFlipz podcast. Maybe it'll make me tomorrow think about it more actively and try to do even better than normal. So yeah, those are my answers. What do you think, Josh?
Thinking I haven't thought about being a better person daily in a long time, but I definitely probably should.
Yeah.
It's one of those New Year's resolutions. I should go to the gym. I should do a whole bunch of things that I'm probably not doing. No smoking really that or anything like that I'd partake in, so I don't got to use that as a resolution. But I don't know. Just keep on keeping on. Keep going to work. Keep putting food on the table for the family. Wife works from home, so just need to keep providing and probably just do better with the health and everything like that because it's been a hell of a 2022. So it's hopefully next year's brighter and need to probably make some changes there. But in the looking backwards, starting from now, not a whole lot. Just keep it down the narrow path.
Yeah, I'm for the most part with Josh. Nothing too drastic. I have been trying to set more goals for myself with the eBay business. Been doing decently well sticking to them in September. Like one of the biggest thing for me is I was always someone who would just take each day and do whatever I needed to get done for each day with really no rhyme or reason. But I recently started to kind of set myself up with a more of a schedule type of thing where each day I told myself I want to get 25 items listed on eBay. Trying to get everything that I have just sitting in boxes, either listed on eBay, sorted through, listed on TCG Player or whatnot, and doing decently well with that. The new eBay listing format makes that process a little bit infuriating at times, but so far this month I've been keeping up with that, listing 25 items every day, Monday through Friday, and then extra on Saturday and Sunday. But just small stuff like that for the for the business. Really no personal goals, or doing anything different to better myself. That's really about it for me.
I'm still on the old listing format.
I hate you.
Cam does too.
It's so weird. It'll work when it works. It works really good, and it's really nice. It's a huge improvement from the old one. But when it doesn't work, it is the most frustrating thing ever. And I do not understand why. I've had cases where I'm listing perfectly fine. I click create similar, and the next listing just has so many issues. I think I figured out like a temporary solution almost, where I haven't had an issue in a couple days, which is nice. The thing is I cannot have a single other tab open on the internet. So I have to look up eBay pricing on my iPad. And if I do that, for whatever reason, I haven't had an issue in a couple days. So maybe that's it. Maybe I'm just in a lucky streak right now where there's no issues, but I have no idea.
That sounds miserable because my process is like at least 3 or 4 tabs. I have 2 screens. eBay is like 2/3 of one. And then I have a spreadsheet open because I do buy it now. So like I make a spreadsheet prior with the list prices of everything that I'm going to list. And then like sometimes I can do just those 2 if I made the spreadsheet really recently. But if it's a consignment and they take a couple weeks to get them in, or if I just want to be extra sure of like, well, let me check 130 point for the best offer accepted. Let me check PWCC. If it's a really high-end item and I'm really spending 5 or 10 minutes to price it, then I have, just like my normal 20 tabs open. And maybe that's what made me crash OBS, because I just always have a million programs and tabs open. I'll have to be better with that. But yeah, that was a real deep one.
So next question. What values hope your kids see when they look back on your videos one day? Don't have any kids right now. Hopefully one day though. But I would say the biggest thing is to work hard for what you want to achieve, and be happy with where you're at. And if you're not happy, make changes so that you can be happy. Perfect example is me going full-time with eBay. Really got sick of my shipping job, and so decided to go full-time, pursue a passion of mine, and so far so good. Hopefully it continues, but that would definitely be the thing, is to work hard at goals that you have. Don't let anything stand in the way of goals that you have in life.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they watch them, because I got family, my wife, friends and stuff on Facebook that probably don't watch them now. So when there's thousands of them, I doubt they'll take the time to go back and watch them. They might keyword search a couple things, like I don't even know what those would be, but maybe just to see that, I don't know, working hard, doing what I'm doing, and having a good time, and living. So doing it after they go to bed usually, because I'm not full time like these guys. So I after the kids go to sleep, I'm up here in the office, which is my normal 9 to 5 office here on this side, but behind me is all my collectibles. So it's after the kids are down, going to bed, I'm not missing out on the family time besides when I'm at work, 9 to 5 or whatever. But yeah, as much time with them as possible, and they'll see it.
Yeah, it is really weird to think like 10, 15 years from now, 1, will I still be making content? 2, if my kids were to want to search, like, will YouTube even be the main video platform at that time? Or will YouTube be like a remnant of the past? Really many interesting thoughts around that, but taking it just for face value and not getting too deep from that perspective. Yeah, I think like Nick said, mainly seeing that I like made the choice to quit a job where if I wanted to chase the dollars, the ideal path forward would have been to grind out the job and this on the side and to just do both 100 hours a week and not have much of a life outside of work. Seeing that I made the choice to optimize for happiness instead of optimizing for dollars or wealth. I think that's a very important thing in life. Some of the slightly deeper videos, and I intend to make more on the hedonic treadmill, hedonic adaptation, knowing what setting goals in life and being satisfied with enough, not to the point where you get complacent or you get lazy or you just like hit the finish line and then stop for the last 50 years of your life, but not I was actually listening to a really good financial podcast earlier. Oh, who was it? Morgan Housel, I think it was, on with Paula Pant of the Afford Anything podcast. Really talked about the hedonic treadmill. When you have a $5 raise at work, make sure your expectations don't grow by $6. Like you can find a lot of happiness in life living well within your means and not just keeping up with the Joneses, the whole rat race, that kind of stuff. So I hope that they can go through their lives figuring out what makes them happy and realizing that generally speaking, it's not just having the biggest bank account you can possibly amass in a lifetime. Kind of deep question, kind of deep answer there, I think too. And then I believe this is our last one. Yeah, so this is our last one for the night. Again from Mr. Walrus. Really hit us up. And then back to like, yeah, back to like Pokemon here.
Last question. If someone is starting out buying and selling, when is the best time to grade cards, as it takes a lot of resources? That's a good question, actually. I would say to get started with selling just single cards. Buying collections, breaking them down, selling single cards, and then get into grading later on down the road. And I say that because when I first started out, my idea of a near mint card was way different than it is today. My idea of a near mint card was like excellent back then. My idea of a near mint card back then was like excellent today. So I was definitely thinking that my cards were in better condition than they actually were. And I think you kind of learn the condition scale by buying, selling different collections and stuff like that. Plus the whole grading process, it takes a decent bit of time to just like prep get all the cards in the submission, send them off to be graded, get them back, all of that stuff. So I almost think you're better off, like when you're first starting out, you're better off just kind of rapidly going through these different collections, buying one collection, breaking it up, selling the cards in that collection, and then buying another collection, so that you're both making a little bit of money at that point, and you're kind of learning about grading scale, like I mentioned, and eBay. You're building up your feedback, all of that stuff. So I would definitely recommend against getting into grading right out of the gate. Obviously, if you find a collection with like a mint first edition Charizard, that's your first collection that you buy for resale. The situation would probably change in that case, but for the most part, that's what I would go with.
Yep, 100%. And March of 2020, I didn't know what a graded card was. And basically, when I jumped into it, when COVID started, bought my first ever raw collection off Facebook Marketplace. It was local. Within 30 minutes, drove there. And basically the plan was to flip it. And I told my wife, hey, I'm going to spend $2,300 on Pokemon cards. She almost slapped the crap out of me. I told her, I'm going to make some money. Bought it, within a week, I sold it as a lot just to prove to her that I could make some money. And I sold it for $4,000 just as a lot. And it took a lot of pictures, and it's a grind. And basically from that, I started buying and selling collections, but just singles. I was selling singles on Facebook groups, and that's a grind. Posting pictures of all these raw cards. Did it for about 8 months before I got into graded cards. Never looked back really. Selling raw blows just because having the grade there requires so many less pictures to sell a card. I remember taking 12 pictures of a Neo Discovery Umbreon, non-first edition, but it was near mint, and the dude wanted to prove that it was near mint. Sold it for probably $50, but I took probably 1,000 pictures and a video and to make a sale, which is insane. So it's definitely a grind in the beginning, but you learn so much how to sell and all these different things. So it has helped so much just starting out that way. So wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah, it all depends on your cash flow situation. Generally speaking, starting out, you're gonna have less. So those obscenely long turnaround times are they're like a double whammy because you have to have the money ready for when the grading bill comes due. And then you're also like whatever you spent on the cards that are being sent out, that capital's all tied up too. So honestly, like that's where CGC becomes more of a play as well. Not only is the grading fee cheaper, but the turnaround's quicker. If anything, as Nick covered too, if you end up with like a real banger card, send it at 150, send it at 100. It's a lot of money, but you're gonna get it back quick. Like if you make a special delivery Charizard play, I mean, make sure you're really confident in the grading scale. Make sure that you're not gonna send it out and get like an 8 or a 6 or something. I was quite confident when I set mine. I never like know that a card's gonna get a 10, but I was 80 to 90% sure that card was a 10. I sent it out. I didn't really have capital tied up for too long. $150 grading bill. Boom, make a $400 profit. So if and when the play is there for a higher tier one, go for it. But generally speaking, stick with the graded and or more CGC to get started, get rolling, get that capital built up. Yeah, that's the general idea, I think. So that rounds out our questions. I don't know if either of you had any like hot current topics you want to cover, any things you've got going on upcoming that people should look out for, or if you wanted to wrap.
There's a couple things. I think the you looking anything for the Heritage Signature Auction coming up this weekend, I believe. Anything catch your eye, or you not even
I haven't even
know
looked yet. I knew it was coming soon. I can if you want to talk about what you're looking at, I can actually get it pulled up. We can kind of like browse it together.
I don't want to talk about what I'm looking at because I'm buying for the PC personally, not to flip anything really. So,
Oh, okay.
but
You don't want me to pull it up then?
no. But there's not a whole lot of like lots that you're used to, like you have bought in the past. I don't know if there's like many of those at all. Graded lots, which is pretty interesting. Usually there is a handful of those to look at. There's the Zapdos. But yeah, I think it'll be you got the Mewtwo card PSA 10. I think it was at $70,000 now, or
That'll
Yeah.
be an interesting one. I'm
75.
really curious to see where that one ends up.
Yeah, it's at
Yeah.
75, so it's 90 with buyer's premium.
Yep. Lots of trophy cards, lots of them, Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon. So it'll be one for the ages.
I don't know why you guys froze.
Yeah, I don't know why we're. Oh, there we go. Now we're
Okay.
moving again.
Supposed to be moving.
It's because I accidentally full screened. Yeah, you can't full screen something when you're recording multiple windows.
Makes
Ah,
sense.
So yeah, there's a tropical wind. There's an SSB. There's the protostoices are really interesting. It's shocking to me how much they go for, And then there's like the magic back, there's the white back, there's so many different variants. I held one of them. Actually, Tavis King, very, very knowledgeable. He has an awesome channel. He does all different kinds of videos. Really, really informative. Like, I'm not even into Magic, but it's just interesting to listen to because of how knowledgeable he is. I held one of the Blastoises in Orlando. I talked to him for a minute during the beta box break that I bought a pack in, and he's like, "Oh, you do Pokemon? You'll probably be interested in this." And he just like pulled it out of his briefcase. No
Nice.
sleeve, no graded guard, no nothing. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe he's like letting me hold this. Like 3-4 feet above the ground on concrete. It's like, man, if we drop this thing, crazy to me. But yeah, base first PSA 10 Charizard. There's a lot of stuff going on here. I'll definitely have to take a closer look in the next couple days.
What is that?
There's like 2 of those lots, which is interesting. Those are like the only graded lots that I've seen.
Man.
Yeah, that's
Interesting one. 16 Charizards.
of course.
More, $400. There you go.
Yeah, of course we've got signed stuff.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Some display cases in there, Nick.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, there you go.
Themed deck
I'll
case.
be curious to see where the Neo Genesis goes.
$700.
Oh, a bunch of
That
boxes.
one is really hard to find.
The boxes are all cheap.
First Ed Fossil, I think, just sold for, or maybe it was Jungle, $6,000 to the last Heritage Weekly.
That was plus BP, so 7,200.
Yeah, it was like 6,600 all in.
Oh, that was with BP.
Yeah.
Ooh, holy crap! Might have to go shopping.
Oh, they got the Chinese too.
You got the no number. I think this is the same exact one that went for like 500 something, then 100 something.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sale's gonna hurt.
He's gonna take a wash on that.
We got a Japanese.
Not a whole lot of
CGC
box. Graded stuff.
Yeah, this is the signature, right?
Yep.
Save those blue labels for the weeklies.
Oh,
they got the Protostoys was in CGC slab though.
Yeah. That's true.
There you go, fossil uncut sheet.
There it is. There's your
Dan.
thing you wanted, Dan.
My memorabilia grail.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to take a look at this auction. I haven't even looked at this yet.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of stuff here.
Oh, yeah, I do not understand Charizard lots. That just does not make any sense to me. Oh, a whole bunch of theme deck displays.
Oh, here we go.
There you go.
New way.
Those are actually tough to find.
Yeah, I have a handful of them, but they are quite hard to find.
Yeah. So Nick had recently made his big purchase into some Conditional Rarity. I'm curious, Dan, when you're gonna get on board, or what's the hesitation?
Never. I don't understand you guys. Nick with his what was it, $700 Shadowless Squirtle? Ooh. 900. Yeah, that's all you. That's I got my. I mean, yours doesn't even have glasses. Let me see if I can change. Here we go. The sitting cutie cam. It's probably gonna take too long.
Yeah.
But let me see if I can get down there.
So while he's doing that, Nick, why'd you buy it? Again, elaborate. Are you gonna flip it, or are you gonna hold?
Oh no, that is definitely a PC collection piece. The biggest reason for me, Shadowless base set, by far the best set of all time. My personal favorite set. Squirtle is my favorite Pokemon. CGC, from a collector's standpoint, CGC is my favorite grading company. And then to have a CGC Perfect 10 Shadowless base set Squirtle, that card had my name written all over it. So I bought it more so for a collection piece, something to put on display in the office. And then when you get into the other facts, like you were mentioning in your first edition Drowsy video, which I watched that video about 10 times trying to figure out how to do a reaction video to your video. But when you were talking about the whole conditional rarity aspect, it being for your card, the first edition Drowsy, it being the only perfect 10 out of 25,000 first edition base cards. That whole fact is also really, really cool to me. Yeah. Obviously, it might not, it probably won't ever, or it probably won't be that one of one card forever. There probably will be more entered in, but for there only to be one out of 25,000 cards, that whole fact is really cool to me, and it definitely says something. I don't normally buy into the whole conditional rarity thing, paying so much of a premium, 10s, black labels, perfect 10s, all of that stuff. But it is definitely a thing, and it always will be a thing. No matter what our thoughts are on it, it is a thing, and it is here to stay. That is something that's never going to change, and it's not something that's just true with Pokemon. It's true with all cards, even getting into other collectible coins. I'm into coins. People pay massive premiums to get that perfect grade, that grade, or that coin that someone designated as being perfect. People pay massive premiums for that stuff, and that's just never going to change.
I just cannot care any less about it. Like,
well, when me and Josh are zillionaires, when we won't toss you anything for having the faith.
Yeah, I crack it out, get it again, and then I'll be mildly impressed. I don't believe the reproducibility of it. I believe it's invalid from like my scientist engineer perspective. A measurement that can't be replicated is not valid. So I think if you were to grade those cards 10 times, like that's why I don't even collect 10s. So when you start talking about perfect 10s, black label 10s, whatever you want to go even higher. I mean, shout out PFM, Pokemon Flying Master. He made a great video years ago on his very infrequently used YouTube channel about resolving power. It's just not real. That's at the end of the day what gets me. So I'm not going to pay. I love grading them and then selling them. But I will never be a buyer. Like even if you get a Quaxley, even if you get a Charmander, even if you get like my guy, I don't have to own if there's a one and only. Yeah, I just don't get it.
Yeah, it's definitely an acquired taste, the conditional rarity thing, and people like Low Pop, and shout out Low Pop, and he makes his business on conditional rarity stuff, and it's here to stay. People will buy. Like this Drowsy I purchased was not for a personal collection. I don't plan on now starting to collect Drowsies. It's not really that type of thing. It's more of I own the only one. If somebody wants that, they are going to pay more for it. So I do have cards that are conditionally rare that are in the personal collection, but this one was more of a money play for myself. But it's there. It's crazy the amount of stuff. Like there was, I think I mentioned it in my video when after I purchased it, the WATA grading scale. Getting a 10 from WATA is probably the same, if not harder, as getting a CGC perfect 10. They are much bigger items that are being graded, a lot more chance for flaws, the way they're handled. And there was a semi-modern Mickey Mouse game, and maybe not modern, but a Mickey Mouse game mass produced, available in sealed cases still, that sold for almost 5 figures, I believe, in a WATA 10. Non-desired game at all, but people collect 10s and want the cream of the crop. So, yeah, it's here to stay. It'll just like sports cards. A black label Mickey Mantle pops up, somebody's selling their wife for it. So, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad people value those third-party grades because it makes business easy. But it's not for me.
Yep. Fully understand that.
Another thing in the news big lately, that's not for me, but there's a lot of interesting conversation around it. These signings, do either of you have any one, like, are you aware of what went on this past weekend in Baltimore and in Ocala? And what do you
100%.
think about like the whole signature situation we've got going on?
Yeah, it's I have one. I think one signature from Kaiba, and it's cool. I got it done myself. Not personalized. Didn't even think about that when I was getting it signed, but he signed it. Eric Kaiba Stewart. It's pretty awesome. The whole stuff going on in Ocala and Baltimore. A lot of scummy things. Obviously, the people that were paid to be there that didn't jump lines, pay for extra tickets. Shame that they didn't get their full experience maybe on day one, had to show up at a day two just to get any experience, and they, after waiting tons of hours in a line, it's bullcrap. But the people jump in line, there should be ashamed of themselves. And so I see buying VIP tickets, whatever, but buying then extras or whatever right after and jumping the line again, that's BS.
And I think, I mean, there was an event in Norway or something a week or two prior, and it went fairly similar, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
I think so much more of it comes down to the organization. Like what happened, it's very analogous to what happened with PSA in 2020. PSA failed to do simple math, and PSA failed to just shut down lower tiers, charge for supply and demand. At the end of the day, no matter what your feelings are on it, there is more demand at $30 or whatever they were charging than these artists are capable of pumping out in a 2, 4, 8, 12, 20-hour window, whatever they're signing over. If I am tasked with if I was tasked with running PSA, very, very simple math. You can grade X amount of cards a day, and if you're taking more, the backlog grows, and that's bad. If I'm tasked with running a signing event, I mean, right now you have a data set because you just had an event with Saito, and I think he signed, like he put a lot of work into the sketches, and that's all great. Like that's awesome for the people who got to go and experience that. But I think he was doing something like 8 to 10 an hour, like very, very slow, which is fine. But like if it's an 8-hour signing event and he's doing 10 an hour, I learned this I think you're taught this in second grade. I think I was pretty good at math, and I might have known it by like first grade or kindergarten. 8 times 10 is 80. Very, very simple to do. No more than 80 people are getting signatures that day. The fact that there are lines and there's campouts and there's all these different things going on, why doesn't someone do the basic simple math and determine how many people are going to get them? Then the only consideration you have to deal with is how do you want to go about distributing them? Do you want to sell them 80 to the highest bidder? Do you want to charge $500 a piece, $700 a piece, whatever the market will bear? Or do you want to like pick out 80 kids randomly that look the happiest and look the most excited, and however you want to dole them out, I don't care. But the fact that there are people camping out and there are people waiting 12 hours and then not getting signatures, that is absurd to me. That should not be a thing. You know how many can get signed in the fixed amount of time you have. Dole them out however you want to dole them out. I have my own ideas for how I would want to, or how I think would be reasonable. But that's a whole different consideration. The fact of the matter is, like, the second that it starts and even the day prior, everyone who's getting one of those 80, or whether it's 80 or 800, if it's a Rita just pumping out to a minute, or I don't know how fast any of these people are, but everyone who's getting one should just know. There should be no like all these issues going on. That's just insane to me. it's like PSA mismanaging the whole backlog situation because they wouldn't just do basic math and then manage it properly.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
I that's the biggest thing for me is I don't understand how there was so many people at the event hoping to get a signature and then only so many people able to get a signature. I don't know. I don't understand. Like exactly like you were saying, why they didn't cut off the line
because they were only charging
so many tickets.
There's this weird, I actually made a post on E4. I hadn't posted on E4 in quite some time, but there was a thread about it, and there's this weird entitlement type thing, and this is probably going to be very unpopular opinion. There's this weird entitlement around, I'm a true collector, I really want it, I deserve it, and you shouldn't charge market price for certain things because then people who aren't as well off financially can't get it. And I get the sentiment, but at the end of the day, like, if I am a car guy and I'm a car aficionado and my lifelong dream is to own and drive a Ferrari, I'm not entitled to that by any means. A certain amount are created. It's subject to supply and demand. I can't just say like, I love Ferraris, I deserve one, I should get to drive one. No, like it's a capitalistic society. That's just the way things work. If and when they do an event where it's just $300 a signing, it sucks for people who can't come up with that amount of money. But like, what other way do you want to do it? Do you want to let people pay $30 and then sit for 12 hours in the cold and maybe rain and snow and then still not get one? No, it's way better. And again, this goes back to like, maybe if Saito can sign 80 in a day, maybe you sell 50 of them at $200 a piece, whatever the market will bear, very, very high. So then all the richy riches can get in there. And then the remaining 30, you give them to the happiest smiling faces in the place. The youngest kids, the truest collectors, maybe all 80. Maybe you book it. And if that's what Saito wants, and if they want to work for less and they want to handpick who's deserving, then do that. But you should never have a scenario where people, hundreds of people, dozens of people, however many people it was, are waiting without knowing whether they're getting one or not. That's just absurd. Sell them for more money or give them away for free, but just like let the people be known who's getting them and who's not. Because that's just crazy.
Yeah. And then yeah, I would agree with that. And then I just think it's so scummy for why do you need more than one signature? People who post 25 Charizards fanned out, you do not need 25 Charizards signed. There is only one intention of doing that.
They were giving away free money. I don't think it's scummy to make money.
Scummy.
It's not scummy to make money.
That is beyond scummy. That is absolutely ridiculous. That guy has more money than most of us in the hobby, and he is just beyond greedy. He took away 25 opportunities from other people to get a signature, all to make money. That is it's stupid. That's gonna take away people from the hobby, because people definitely got turned off from the hobby because they weren't able to get a signature. And if you're just solely focused on the money, you're going to destroy the hobby in the long term.
And I think that's just event mismanagement. I think it goes back to, if someone's that baller enough, I mean, in sports it happens. There are private collectors who just like reach out to some rookie there are situations where people do private signings for $100,000 or $50,000. If and when some big baller wants to call up a Rita or call up a Rita's representative, I think Pokemon really cracks down on stuff like that. I don't know exactly how it all works, but yeah, to me, like, I don't know the exact, so many accusations being thrown out in videos and Instagram stories and whatever. Like, I don't know the specifics of it, but at the end of the day, like, if someone went and paid for VIP or they got the panel things and they had some friends go with them, like, as long as they, like, I heard of some people, and I don't know who, and cutting in line, physically just skipping people, like, that's obviously all bad. But if people had legitimate tickets that they paid for and they bought and paid for, and they decided to bring a few people with them, I don't really see issues with that. Again, like mismanagement led to dozens or hundreds of people standing in line for hours and hours, not knowing they were like thinking they were going to get one and then not getting one.
What about using your personal VIP ticket, getting out of line and buying somebody at the con their VIP ticket who had no intention of using it for a signature, and then getting right back in the VIP line and doing that over and over?
It's not something I would have done, but if it was being allowed, like if people were playing by the rules that were set, I put it on I put it on the setup. Again,
Yeah.
like it's kind of shitty that so many people flooded PSA with shit cards so that the truest collectors couldn't grade their cards for $7. I was one of them. I chucked out 5,000 cards. Am I a piece of shit because I
Yeah.
graded like that? It's analogous. It's a similar thing. And I just think PSA managed the backlog terribly. I think it's a terrible setup just inherently to have hundreds of people in a room, many of which aren't going to end up ultimately getting a signature. Like why and how you set up in that way when it's a known capacity thing. It's simple math. Figure out the capacity, dole them out however you want to dole them out. Highest bidder, or give them away all for free. Rainbows and unicorns, everyone's happy. The truest of true collectors all get it. However you want to do it, just don't do it where tons of people have that bad experience by design.
It sounded on
Yeah.
Thrifty TCG's podcast, she mentioned on day 2 they learned and put black X's on people's hands after they got one sign.
Yeah,
So,
and if
I think
that's like, if people were doing multiple laps and they weren't supposed to be able to, and they couldn't on the fly come up with some system to prevent it, like, I don't know what was going on there. I wasn't there. Everything I've heard is second, third, fourth, fifth hand. But at the end of the day, like, I know math, and I know math could have been done to prevent many of the issues, in my opinion.
yep.
Yeah, I do put most of the blame on the event organizers for just like what you were saying. But from like a philosophical standpoint, there is definitely blame to put on people who are looking at the event just for money. I think that's different than the PSA backlog. I just don't see those two events being the same.
I graded 10,000 plus cards just for money.
Yeah, but I just see, I don't know. I don't see those two being the same, because everyone had an equal opportunity to grade cards for a year period before grading shut down. Not everyone had a year period to get a signature from these people before they shut down. It was a
Pre-COVID.
2-3 day event.
Yeah, but
that you
pre-COVID,
could
there
go-
were many Arita events. Arita has signed many times, and he will into the future too. Like it's not, well, given how poorly it went, and some people like following people back to their hotel room, all this other crazy stuff, it might end. Like they might not be a thing going forward. But we've had this weird scenario where the past 2 years have been tough. There's not been many signings because of the pandemic. But like into the future, if these things were organized and ran well, and the artist didn't get like harassed and bad experiences for so many people, there's going to be a lot more signings if and when they run smoothly. So like people just need to be patient, not FOMO into everything, and things need to be organized so that people who are getting the signatures know and people who aren't. Yeah, like I won't stop going back to the fact that it's just basic math. Figure out how many things these people can sign in a fixed amount of time, and then just give out the slots however you want to give them out, but just know what that limit is. Because at the end of the day, it's supply demand. Arita was signing for, I believe it was $30. You're selling it for way under market value. Clearly, there were way more people. It's like when concerts go up, or when limited shoes go out, or when the Charizard UPC drops on Pokemon Center. I don't know how many they'll have, but they'll have way less than there are people who want to buy it for 120. So some people will bot it, scalp it, flip it, whatever. Is that wrong? I mean, we buy stuff. I'm paying $80 a Charizard UPC. I'm not selling them for 120. Is that scummy? A lot of people think so. Do I think so? No. I'm gonna be cheapest on the market when I sell it. Gonna be a hell of a lot more than 120 though. There are many people out there who make the argument that no one should be able to buy from wholesale distribution and sell above retail. But then they also want, like, they don't want $140 booster boxes. They want their $90 booster boxes.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, like, there's so many issues you get into when you have, like, you need to stress test your own beliefs and thoughts in one area against, like, analogous things in other areas, because they are quite analogous. When you have a product that's just artificially being sold for cheaper than what people are willing to pay, either $120 UPCs or $30 Arita signatures, you're going to have situations where people merch that, where people buy it to resell it. That's just the nature. Like, it happens with sporting tickets, concerts. You have 60,000 seats, and you have 500,000 people who want to go for that retail price. So then it gets botted up and it gets sold for triple, because triple is the equilibrium point where, okay, we'll fill instead of the $100 concert, now they go for an average of 300 on StubHub, because that's where the equilibrium falls on 60,000 people getting into that stadium. Like, that's just capitalism. That's just trading money for finite, limited goods. And in this case, the good is someone's swiping of the wrist.
Yeah, but I think it's see, I just see it differently, because it's like the whole, like, when you're buying something like the Charizard UPC, you're buying that item. But when you're going to get that signature, you're meeting the artist, you're interacting with them. I just don't see it as being the same as going out and buying something. I think it's more special, and there's a lot more limited quantity of that signing than the Charizard UPCs, for example. But that's just how I see it. Obviously, you're never gonna get into that ideal world of people being decent human beings and getting one signature per person. But that is 100% the way it should be.
Even that though, not everyone leaves happy. If everyone got one, the way the numbers sound, the way some of the pictures I saw, if everyone only got one, not everyone would have gotten one still.
Oh yeah. With the way this one went, it sounded like there was way more people than, even if everyone got one. There still wouldn't have been enough room.
And then some people
I think it would have hurt less. I would imagine, just because you're not seeing this one person with a whole bunch of signatures.
And no matter, well, like, someone can go on eBay and they can start buying them all up too. Like, no matter what you do at the end of the day, no matter how you dole out. So let's go back to the 80 number. Say there's 80 slots for a given day. If you, like, what would be, in your opinion, the best way to dole out those 80 slots? Would it be like $30 a slot? It's launched at noon on a Wednesday, and the first 80 people to buy them get them for $30? Because you know what happens with that? A bot gets them, and then they're resold immediately for like triple or more. And then some amount of people who go in person, they have the wristband or they have the ticket or whatever it is. Someone offers them 300 cash, 500 cash, they sell it. Like, there's no way around, at the end of the day, the capitalistic part of it, because people are going to buy spots in the line. People are going to buy the wristband, whatever it is. Some amount of that's going to happen. There's unless you're going to, like, make them have an ID and it's tied to your ID number, your social security number, or, like, unless you go, like, really, really crazy deep. And then at the end of the day, that person's going to go through the line, get the signature. Because, like, when an item is being sold for so cheap and it's worth so much, like $300, some of these cards are having $1,000 added to their value. That's what a lot of people make in a week.
Right.
Yeah.
Like people will go and gladly sit in the rain, in the snow for 12 hours to make $1,000 or $500, like they normally have to trade 40 hours of their life for that, and now they're making 4 times what they make at their job. So like you're never gonna get around that core like hurdle. It's people might not like it. It might not make you feel good, but like that's just like a market doesn't care about your feelings scenario. At the end of the day, if there's a limited good and more people want it, then at the given price, like the price is going to go up and people are going to pay. So yeah, in this, like what I would ask to people who don't like what happened, what is the ideal way to do it? And people are going to either have some dream scenario that isn't realistic, or it's just going to end with one guy leaving with 50 signatures still because he's just going to go and buy them all.
Yep.
Like there's no way around that happening, in my opinion. And I say in my opinion, but I think it's more factual than opinion.
I think there is definitely stuff that they could do, like the personalizations. I think they should have matched IDs with the personalizations. All these people getting Ash, Brock, Misty.
That was required. Some of that. So,
well, no, like those specific names.
Well, when they were doing Arita, like to Arita from Mitsuhiro Arita, that was actually one of the predetermined. I forget if that was in Finland or whatever, but there was a period where they were going so slow, having everyone do their own name, that they made you choose between trainer and Arita and something else. So like you could only choose between 3 things. Because I saw Java Ukuma actually made a video saying how disrespectful it was that people were doing 2 trainer from Mitsuhiro Arita. I believe it was the Finland event, and then Your Average Player actually commented, or a couple other people commented that they requested you do that to speed things up. And then he came back and he kind of like retracted some of it in the comments.
At that point.
It's also silly, like going back further, some of the blame being on organizers not doing the simple math and then doling out the limited amounts properly. Some of it goes back to Pokemon just having really silly regulations, because there's videos out there about how to remove personalizations. It can very easily be done. Days, hours, days, even months after the fact, you can very easily remove Sharpie from a card. And so like they're mandating that they do it to hurt the secondary market value, but there's an undetectable way to easily reverse that personalization. So like Pokemon is just having this like weird policy that no one really wants, that it's not really effective. Like I think that should go away because it just doesn't make sense. It in a rainbows and unicorn utopian perfect world, I understand like the goal behind it, but it just functionally doesn't work. So just stop it. Stop that mandate. It doesn't do anything. There's no perfect solution. In a perfect world, Saito and Arita could drive to everyone's house and spend an hour or a day with you and sign every item and talk to you about your favorite illustrations, and that's not going to happen. What we're going to have is a handful of events a year and maybe a couple hundred signatures per event, and you have tens of thousands of people who want them. There's never going to be enough. And then the day that there becomes enough, the day that Arita just like starts signing 1,000 stickers like the sports guys do and sends them out, puts them in every product, puts them every, then people aren't going to even want them as much. Like so much of people's desire is the exclusivity, and like this comes a very philosophical, a very core human trait. Like people just like things. Going back to your guys' conditional rarity, you like the fact that you have the one in the world of however many tens of thousands. The day that these people, these artists start signing significantly more, like if they really just go pump them out, people aren't going to want them like that. The values are going to go down and people aren't going to want them. People don't want $80 booster boxes. People want $180 booster boxes. People want things that are expensive. People like to buy high. It's just the world we live in. It's the way things go. Yeah, I don't know. I wanted to bring it up because I thought it would lead to good rants, and I think it did.
No, yes, you did. That was good. That was very good.
I think some
Nailed
people
it.
definitely won't like what I said, but I think emotions aside, again, it goes back to the market doesn't care about your feelings, and you have a limited good, and the price is going to go up on it. And however you want to dole it out, it's going to be, yeah. They're going to concentrate to the money. They're going to concentrate to the people willing to pay the most. Whether they're hiring people to stand in the line, whether they're just buying from the people after they go through the line, it is what it is.
If Arita were to show up Collecticon Denver, are you standing in line for 3 hours?
Absolutely not.
It's one thing. You would be in line with friends. So like you could just be hanging out, you could be opening packs in line, you could be looking at binders in line. But like if by Denver, I mean Denver's only a few weeks from now, but if someone doesn't get it into their heads to just do the math, don't by design have hundreds of unhappy people. It makes no sense. Like at Collecticon, when you have like Nato Cheney, or when you have
Goku.
when you have these other people who you can feasibly, like whatever they're charging, supply demand, you can feasibly get everyone through the line in a weekend for the hours of signing. It makes sense. Like a lot of those signers, you walk by, there's no line, there's no like. That's easy. You just set them up at a table, you charge market rate, and X amount of people get through. If and when you do a Rita or Fukuda, or like say they have Sugimori do one someday, do a test run, have them sign for an hour, calculate how many they sign in an hour, and then extend it out and dole out the right amount of tickets. I don't care how you give out the tickets, but do not by design create hundreds of unhappy people. People flew there. Like I don't know anecdotally of any one specific person who flew there and didn't get one, but I guarantee you there was one. There are people who drove hours. There are people who waited 12 hours. Imagine spending $1,000 to travel there and 2 days of your life, a weekend of your life, and then not getting one. Like that's why like market value, what these go for on eBay, when people inevitably, they already are selling some on eBay. It's pretty reasonable what they're going for in the greater context of all that. I won't get into the rants on my thoughts on PSA authenticating signatures and all that, but as far like I've seen a lot of people comment signatures should be worth a lot because look at what just happened. I agree from that supply side, supply demand side. I get it from that side, but the day that Arita just if he does 10 events a year where he's signing 500 items an event, it'll catch up, and the demand will largely go away when the supply becomes too large.
Look forward to it.
Yeah. Would you be in line at a
Hell no.
like I went to I went to 19 Worlds, that we had a private signing for E4 with Imakuni. I didn't even go to that. I mean, I had the ability to go to that and pay whatever it was for the signatures. Going back to like the memorabilia thing, going back to like I love the Rangers. Lundqvist was one of my favorite players to watch. Darrell Revis for the Jets. Like very infrequently do people care about defenders as much. Like usually it's the quarterback, the running back, wide receiver. I loved watching Darrell Revis play. He would literally put people on an island. Like he shut people down. He shut the big guys down. It was crazy. Do I care to like wait for hours to get a signature on something, even value aside? Like I don't care. I have a Revis jersey. I don't care to ever get it signed by him. I don't really care to even meet him. I don't get the whole like celebrity thing. Like I loved watching the guy play, but what am I going to talk to him about? Oh, I loved when you caught the ball when the other team was trying to catch the ball. Lundqvist. Oh, I loved when you like didn't let the puck in the net, and I didn't like it when you let the puck in the net. Maybe I'm weird. Like maybe I'm weird. Like maybe people, I don't know what people talk about with these artists when they have them signing the stuff. I think a lot of them can't even speak English. Some of them can't even speak English. So like, I functionally couldn't even talk to them, maybe through a translator or whatever. But like, I just don't have anything to say to my favorite actor or my favorite athlete or my favorite artist. Maybe I'm strange for that, but I'm not into that whole thing.
Yeah, I don't think there's a living person on Earth that I would spend an hour in line waiting for a signature right now. Unless I knew it's gonna get me millions of dollars.
Yeah, like I would literally only do it for money if the money made sense. But like, like the shitstorm that has been the last few events, like I wouldn't even want. Because imagine now, like if you list an Arita signature on your eBay in the next couple months, people are gonna be like, "Oh, is that did he wipe that one? Did he scalp it? Did he flip it? Did he steal it from some baby in Ocala? Did like." I don't want to be.
I hope people think that way. Just stop buying from these people who are selling these cards. But no, I would never the 2019 Imakuni signing. That was like my ideal signing. We were there for about a half hour. Everyone got signatures. I don't remember if we had to pay anything. We probably did.
I think you did.
I don't remember. It could not have been very much, but you got a card signed, which is really cool. Still got the card. Brings me right back to Worlds, which is really cool. But as far as ever waiting in line hours on end to get a signature, definitely not. The Worlds one was awesome because it was nice and quick, in and out. Got to meet him, got to have him sign a card, which was really cool. Definitely not something I'd ever sell. It's a nice memory of the Worlds event. So I do understand why people appreciate signatures and all, but as far as the monetary aspect, I don't understand that part. Or waiting in line.
I'll give you 10K.
I don't think I would do it. I don't think I would actually. I honestly don't think I would.
You've got other mementos from that trip.
I actually don't. I honestly I sold everything but that. That is literally the only thing that I have left. 2019.
Do you still
Worlds.
have that uncut sheet you bought from the treasury? Or from the
I still have that. Yes.
See?
The $2 bill.
You have another memento. You have another memento. I even remember that one. You've got your lanyard somewhere, probably.
Okay, the lanyard, yeah. But all like the deck boxes, the sleeves, stuff that I bought from the Pokemon Center. I sold all that stuff. And that was my first ever in-person event. So that one does hold a special place in my heart. What are you looking for over here?
I'm not looking for anything. No.
Somewhere I have them, but I don't know where. This is my my Pokemon Saves the World, the box break in Vegas, and then this is Charlotte. I save all these as my mementos for the events. But yeah, I just, again, whether it's ink on a card, whether it's ink on a glove, a puck, a stick, it doesn't do anything for me. For like, whether it's the art, like I've heard some people say, let my favorite baseball player sign a bat and I'll love it. And then I've heard some people say, like, I just don't care because it's not like Charizard signing it. I don't care about the artist signing it. I'm not either. Like, I don't care about either. If I have a Lundqvist card, if I have a Shesterkin card, I don't really care to have their ink on it. If I get it myself in person, it's better. But again, I'm not going to wait for it. I'm not going to pay for it, really. I randomly, like, I've mentioned it before, but I was not brought up into the NHL, NFL, MLB, NBA. None of the mainstream sports. I was brought up into NASCAR. I have a Jeff Gordon Rainbow Warrior jacket from when I was probably like 7. I met his dad. I met Robbie Gordon, and Jeff Gordon's dad signed my jacket. And
Nice.
I have a hat that Mark Martin signed. So I have a Mark Martin signed hat. He was there. He was through the fence. I think I was like 7 or 8, and my dad like, hey, that's like, I recognized him too. Like, that's Mark Martin. I think I just like thought that's what you do. I had heard and seen of people getting famous people to sign things, and I just like instinctively did it, asked for it. These days, like, oh cool, it's Mark Martin. Like, hey, go win the race today, buddy. I don't know. uh so yeah, there's a bunch of autograph chat because it's the hot latest news.
Hot off the press.
Yeah.
Hopefully your booth is well positioned at Denver to avoid the signature lines.
Oh god.
Let's hope so.
Are we?
I honestly, I don't even remember. I think we're towards the entrance, so we can't be too close to any signature lines.
I don't know, the ones at Long Beach, they started right there. They like span the whole length of the building though.
Long-
Long Beach was small.
Long Beach was way too small of a convention center. That
Aren't we-
was
Aren't we like 35?
35 or 36.
There they are.
Let me see if I can zoom.
I think we're 36 across from Whatnot.
So what,
Yeah, no,
okay.
I said we didn't want to be next to DFW.
Wow, shots fired.
Actually, though, DFW is looking a little bit better now that
Wow.
our boy decided to go be a TikToker.
Wow.
So here's all the booths. Here's all the signing booths over here. Oh, I don't think you can see my mouse, but over on the right side. And
Yeah.
so yeah, we shouldn't have issues with that. Oh no, there's
Oh,
more over here, but still we're a ways
Depends where
away.
to put Goku if he shows up. No.
Yeah, like
Perfect.
same thing goes for if they have a booth. Like what was the guy charging whose line was so long?
50, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what people were saying. And he
Like-
had a line the entire weekend.
But even that doesn't make sense. Like the first hour that I saw that happening, if I was an event organizer, it would be like, okay, someone go get a spool of tickets. We're gonna go down the line. Hey, we're gonna write 8 to 9 a.m., 9 to 10 a.m., and we're gonna do 50 per hour or whatever his capacity is, roughly. And you're gonna have a little bit of like, it's not gonna be perfect, it's not gonna be exact. Slide in VIPs who want to pay more, like just slide them in every so often, whatever. But like, don't have hundreds of people waiting in a line. It makes no sense. Sell 50 slots for this hour window and 50 slots for this hour window. Like,
It was brutal.
is that unreasonable proposal? Is that I don't know. Feels like things could just be managed better.
Yeah.
Call Matt. Chirp
Yeah,
him a
there we
little
go.
bit.
There we
you
go.
Yeah, because I mean that's like all those people are not shopping with your vendors during those times. All those people are like clogging up traffic lanes, and it's some amount of those people are literally getting that signature and then leaving. And like it's good for you, people that want to be out being out, because didn't they run into some situation where like the fire marshal said no more people are allowed in the building?
Yeah, they reached capacity of the venue.
So like if 300 of those people were in the lines and they would have just left had they gotten their signature, or like, hey, come back at 2 p.m. and get your signature. Well, then they could have gotten like a couple hundred more people in or whatever, right? Sold a couple hundred more tickets. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm way oversimplifying how easy it would be to manage, but I don't think I am.
I think like an actual signing event, I think it would be different. With the Collecticon, I don't think they really knew how popular he would be for a person coming to sign, because this was his first time there. So I can kind of see why that was turned out to be a mess. But with like a specific event for that people are going to specifically for this one signing and not a whole show, I think that's a little bit different. That they really don't have an.
Yeah.
Crazy world we live in right now.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
But that's about all I have for tonight. I don't know if you guys have anything else.
I got my good rants in there. The it's a tradition every episode. I think I have to rant about something, so I had to put that in there.
That's good. It was good. Appreciate you guys taking the time though, having me on. It's been definitely a pleasure joining the ranks of some of the other people that have joined their podcast, and pretty awesome. You guys are good people.
Yeah, thanks for making the time to come hang out with us.
Yeah,
I know having to wake up to go to work tomorrow might be a little rough, but we do appreciate it, and it has been fun.
Yeah,
Can't wait to see you again in Denver.
Yeah,
yep, definitely.
Yeah, I'm pumped for Denver. It's gonna come so quick. It's like a little over 3 weeks.
Yeah,
crazy.
Coming up, right after my anniversary. Good timing. Missed it by 5 days.
Nice.
Oh, you got lucky.
Good that you get to go.
Yeah.
Now I got to take. My wife's not coming, so.
Yeah, my wife's actually coming along. I'm interested to see what she thinks about it.
Probably won't have a great time following you around while you're talking to people. You better be good at introducing, otherwise she'll get pissed.
She's fairly introverted, so yeah, we'll see. We'll see if she finds anyone with overlapping interests and finds conversations to have with them. But I don't know. Maybe alcohol will make it a bit smoother. I know I'm. My wife doesn't believe me when I say it, but I'm fairly introverted. Alcohol makes me much more towards the extrovert side of the spectrum.
Yeah, I'm about the same there.
Yep.
But yeah, anything coming up? I know people do have to tune in. Again, link below. Josh has got a big cross grade situation going on with a creature's deck Zapdos that I'm very anxiously awaiting the results. I'm rooting for you. PSA 10. I'm betting on PSA 10. They miss it.
You think they miss it? It's small. It's smaller than a pen point, but
they don't look at the cards for as long as we do. I think there's a decent chance they miss it. Now that you've advertised it publicly, big ballsy move to put out the video before they graded it.
Yeah, right.
300
views.
I've cracked out bunch of cards and I've shown them on beforehand, but like I've done it for $18 when I knew it was going to take 6 months. Like if PSA was actively somehow tracking the cards that I cracked out 2 months ago that they won't yet grade for 4 months, like we've got problems going on in the hobby if they're doing that. But somehow if one of your viewers either works at PSA or knows someone who does, like my tinfoil hat gets me nervous there.
I find that hard to believe. I can't, especially with such a small YouTube channel. Like, I mean, Leonhard, PokeRev, that would be different, but the chances of that happening are so small.
I mean, CGC watches your videos, right? I mean, you've had interactions with CGC on multiple occasions. I know people from CGC and PSA watch some of my videos. I mean, not the entire video, all of them, all the time, but I know people in the community who watch my videos who work wholesale distribution. I know people who work at almost every company involved in the hobby to some extent. Grading companies, auction houses, like they're out there. They watch, they listen. A lot of times they're not like publicly commenting through official means or whatever, but yeah, I mean, people who interact with the hobby, love the hobby, they consume content too.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yeah, the
that
one
just gets me a little nervous.
Yeah, when I talked to Matt at CGC, basically he assured me, he's like, "There's no freaking way we could ever track it," because I told him, and he knows I crack Charizards and send them back to him, and he said basically as soon as it gets received in, it turns into a barcode, no names, nothing. And I saw it when I was down there. It'd be
But
so tough unless somebody saw my video and saw
it's a
these
creature's deck Zapdos.
these 7 cards. That's there's only two
That,
of them.
that,
Great.
that's the biggest thing, yeah.
So
Yeah.
as a
If it was
content,
any other set card, there would be not a
oh yeah,
chance.
oh if it was a base unlimited Charizard, who the hell cares? Like nobody. But the fact that
Yeah.
it was a creature's deck Zapdos, like if I was a PSA grader, having seen your video, if one of them landed on my desk, I would be like, oh man, like I would 100% look in that spot. And I would look
Yeah.
more attentively in that spot. Not even like, oh, that asshole Josh, I want to make sure if this is his, I punish him. No, I would be trying to do my job correctly. And oh yeah, like I knew one of these was like coming through soon. Oh yeah, this is Josh's because it's got that thing. Yep, 6.
Yeah, it'll be interesting when if I send it back to CGC, if they do look at previous pictures of what was graded, because there was only 2 graded at CGC of that card, so it'd be so easy for them just to pull up images. Oh yeah, this is this 9.5. Like they
Well,
say they do it,
They
but
gave it a 10 surface, right?
10 surface, 10 something else, 9 centering, which was bull crap, but
Oh my god.
yeah.
I'm praying for you. I hope it doesn't ultimately end up in an 8.5 CGC slab, but I kind of worry it might. I'm rooting for the PSA 10.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah. So go subscribe, hit that bell, give them a like,
Live
follow up
stream
on
every
that
Wednesday.
content. Yeah.
Heritage auctions. Fun
Are you
times.
doing Wednesday or are you gonna do Thursday for the big one instead?
That's Friday, I think. I think it's
Oh.
Friday, Saturday. But I got a golf outing Friday, so I will not be doing it. So I'll just be buying while I'm golfing.
Hey, I'll be golfing. I'll be golfing Friday too. Be sure to think of me.
I'll be in Ohio golfing, unfortunately. So it's, as Mason called it, the Gooch of Michigan. I'll be there. Not as pretty. A lot of corn.
A lot of corn around me too. I say I live in the woods, but I more live in the farmland that's like half an hour south of the woods.
Yeah, you live in a cornfield. That's where you live.
I live in the middle of a big like 1 million acre corn maze.
Nice.
And then just north of me is the Adirondacks, which is like millions of acres of woods. But yeah, I think that's everything. Anything else looking forward to on your end, Nick? Are you done with YouTube again, or are you still posting?
No, I'm still going with YouTube.
Here.
Yeah, I got another. I'm gonna be uploading another video Thursday. I think I got a TCG player video timing myself. I want to upload that on Thursday. And then I'll shout out to Dan and Jake's Patreon. I'll be joining them Sunday, doing a nice little PowerPoint presentation.
I was hoping you'd shout that one out so I didn't have to.
Hope they're paying you well.
I haven't sent over my rates yet.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can afford me.
What a guy! What a guy!
Couple beers in Denver.
Yeah, the rate I'm paying every frickin' month, it better be good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Nick's presentation. We were trying to have Charlie Herlocker, but you know how fallback plans go. So Nick's our second choice.
Oof. Quite the shoes to fill there.
Yeah. Yeah, we were only gonna have Charlie this month, so no pressure. No, but that'll be good. I think it's more relatable and more accessible. Like TCG player is just not only a more natural stepping stone, as we talked about earlier, starting on eBay, selling raw, starting on TCG Player, selling raw. But it's just a more universal. I mean, I do a lot of it just through trolling Toad EVO instead of TCG Player Direct. But
Yeah.
it's like we're so entrenched in the hobby, we're so deep down into it. Grading is like a huge part of our lives, but so much of the broader hobby, it's all raw. 99% of people, everyone does raw to some extent. Only 1 to 10% of people do any graded. So
Yeah.
good to get that angle because Jake and I are always too much on the grading companies.
No, it'll be fun for sure.
But yeah, I think we got over 3 hours, which is like a mandatory minimum. A lot of people tend to try to riot in the comments if we don't hit that. Thanks everyone for watching.
Especially with your 20-minute outro here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks Josh for coming on. We'll catch you all live in 2 weeks.
Cheers, gentlemen.